Screwing it up. What's up, everybody?
Hello, hello.
By the way, I don't know if I ever asked you, by the way, Jeff, is it Kekon or Kekon?
Kekon.
Kekon-san. Okay.
Yeah.
Kekon-san.
So for anyone who has not met me and heard the story yet, when Facebook first started, was while I was exhibiting in San Diego back in the day. And one of our group or another said, hey, there's this new Facebook thing, and I'm putting all the photos I took this weekend up there. You can see them on Facebook. And when Facebook first started, it was basically like a personals page, kind of. I mean, it was for an individual profile. And they rejected Jeff Wedding as an event. So it would not allow me to create a page for the Jeff Wedding. And so I became Mr. Wedding in Japanese. So that is where that came from. Wedding is not a traditional Japanese surname. So really? That is the Japanese, right? So that is the Japanese word for marriage. I actually talked to a Japanese buddy of mine and said, hey, I know this isn't a traditional Japanese surname, but what would be close if it were to become one? And he said, this is what it would be. So that's how I became a 52-year-old Japanese man on Facebook.
It's a good origin for that name.
Yeah,
man. What's up, Kavi? Hello, Jason, Tom, Alex, Vivian, Marcus, Mikhail. What's up to everybody? Who else we got here? Mike at NSN Art. Is Jeff going to broadcast from the Sphere?
This is not the Sphere, at least not that I'm aware of. I know Mikhail's been here and been to the Sphere. I haven't been yet because I think the Sphere has it out for me. I can see it. I can see it from my office. We've got an exterior stairwell that I head out of the office every evening, and it is fully lit up. And sometimes it makes that smiley face emoji pattern, and I swear it looks at me and kind of gives me the evil eye every once in a while. So
evil eye, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Roberto, here to cheer one of the nicest guys in our hobby, Mr. Jeff Wedding. It's always a nice.
I'll send you your check, Alberto.
Jeff Wedding. The check's on its way, apparently, as it always is. or are you one of them people I hear tell about that stiff their contractors? Because I hear that people do that,
with the mob roots, you can't do that for very long in Vegas.
Yeah.
Or you disappear. So
you disappear.
Not like some other cities.
All right. David, what is up? Good to see you, David, as always. What is up, Kavi? I hope you're resting, man. I hope you're resting the long day you had on your leg at NYCC. That's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy thing for you to do. Even though you just did one day. I mean, that's a hella long day for you to do that at this point in your recuperation, So,
but did Kavi get the free book? That'll be the question of the evening.
Ask him. Answer him, Kavi.
I gave him a secret message to say at I think it was Random House for one of the Star Wars books to get the preview copy.
Okay.
So, but it was while quantities lasted.
Okay.
Didn't know if it would still be there for Sunday.
Okay. What else? Vivian says, welcome back, Jeff.
Hello.
We got CJ. Great night for as always, Jeff Wedding. Good day, Jason Ladwig. Everybody saying hello to each other. Nice day for Jeff Wedding. It sure is. Hello, Jeff Rubin. What's up, CJ? Turning Japanese, I really think so. That used to be a good one. Senor Nuptial.
I think there's a T in there, isn't it? However you spell it in California.
It's going to make it look more Spanish, right? So, hey, at least he got the squiggly on the N.
That's right.
To make it the the lasagna sound, right?
I don't know how I copy and paste that into the chat. I'm sure there's some magic combo that.
There's probably a series of keys you click and you do it. I mean, that's how I always have to do just to put the accent.
Oh, that is one of my biggest complaints with Microsoft is all my old keyboard shortcuts don't work anymore.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
What's up, Carl?
That's one of my old guy complaints. That and stop kicking my rocks.
Stop kicking your rocks?
We got desert landscaping. So
True.
it's not stay off my grass, it's stop kicking my rocks.
Very nicely put. Yes, sir. 64-ounce Maverick mug. Nice. Rick's impressed. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and that is original 1990s, still holding in there.
All right. Wow.
That used to get me 30-cent refills back in the day. I was doing an excavation near St. George, Utah, and that was the first time I bumped into a Maverick because I hadn't made it into Nevada yet. It's, like a 7-Eleven convenience store for those who don't have them in their regions. And, at the end of a long day of digging, to stop and get that 30-cent refill for the drive back to the house we were renting. It was
What
nice.
year was that? 30-cent refills? The 80s?
That would have been 1995, summer of 95. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's still 30 years ago.
Yeah. But it's not that they were costing 30 cents for the drink to begin with. It's just that if you
so you paid for the mug, and then
right.
Refill
it for 30.
And then periodically they do a new design on it, and so the old mugs were no longer valid, and you had to get the new mug.
Got you. By the way, Kavi says I walked so slow I couldn't even get there, to be honest, Jeff.
I saw that. He needed wheels.
That sucks. 3 ice packs on my leg in the air while watching this. And that's sort of how it went. Figured as much, Kavi. Now I want lasagna. Hey, you're always eating too much. Well, what's up with that, man? You gotta control yourself.
He's hanging out with all the chefs.
I know. I mean, have you ever seen his foodie from Spain? What do you call it? Account on Instagram?
Oh no.
No,
I have not come across that.
Yeah, because he's got two, and he's got one that's foodie from Spain. That's where he just kind of posts, food related stuff. And he's like a chef. Like he shows pictures of like these plates that look like high-end restaurant. The way the high-end restaurants serve you a whole plate, and the actual food on the plate takes up like 20% of the middle of the plate.
Yeah. So you get a medallion of beef and one asparagus.
Yeah.
But you've got a fancy swirl of gravy right there, and it's all good.
That kind of thing, man. I saw him do that. I was like, wow, he cooked it himself. He's like he's a chef. Wow. So it's pretty awesome. We at some point all got to go down to Cali to visit Alberto while he invites us all to have lunch or dinner cooked by him. I'm inviting.
There's a round table idea right there.
Round table.
Yeah. What would we the recipes behind OA.
The recipes. Yeah. I gotta admit,
because I gotta say, I came across a new cinnamon tahini fall dipping sauce that I was trying to mess around with last night. So we could get a couple of us on and do it. I don't know how many people would show up in the chat for a recipe show.
This is what I'm saying, that I honestly don't think that would fly,
But then again, who knows? We get way late on football and all sorts of other stuff. So
That's true. What's up, Lee? Good to see you. That is true, my friend. That is true. Jeff will be digging up the mobster's dead bodies from under the Tropicana.
Anyone want the A's?
Excuse me. If you see me coughing throughout the evening, everyone, I seem to be sick a little bit, so that's why. Better than Ruben's Floaty from Canada Podcast. Floaty. What's up, TJ? I think that's A, or is that A?
I think it might be a Fonzie style A. Yeah.
A. Yeah. I was just looking at it's funny how this crazy shit happens. Look how algorithms on the internet work. It's so crazy. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I left a comment on a piece of art. One of Mickey's, I believe it was. Yeah, Mickey's. And I said something about because one of the characters on the page was calling another character Pinky. Hey, you Pinky, or something like that. Which I thought was really weird. And I was like, yeah, the only Pinky I know is Pinky Tuscadero. She was awesome. Right. And then Mickey answered back something to the effect of, yeah, exactly. But I was more partial to Leather Tuscadero, And I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I forgot about that. And then the very next day, which I think was yesterday, suddenly I'm on YouTube. And what does YouTube throw at me right in front of my face? A clip from somebody's channel who has like a 5-minute clip about leather Tuscadero and another one, a pinky Tuscadero. Like, what? That's nuts, man. That is so
that's another reason why I'm suspicious of the Sphere, is I suspect it would do the same thing.
Yeah.
It would hear all of my conversations and then broadcast it on the outside.
Yeah. That's it, man. You got to be careful. What's up, John's Comics with Kids? Evening to you, my friend.
I think Kavi may have a good idea with the recipe cards.
Sorry,
I know some people post music videos linked to their art postings. You know, this song made me think of Yeah. So we could just do it with a recipe. This Star Wars page made me think of this Mediterranean dish.
That's right. Alphabet/Google is Big Brother watching you. That's You know, I gotta sing. What's his face? That wannabe who had Michael Jackson. He used his connections to get on Michael Jackson to sing on his song. Though somebody's watching me. Remember that classic? It always feels like somebody's watching me.
What was that artist?
Remember that guy? What's his name again? Somebody whip it out.
Because that was further back than 1995.
Oh yeah. That's like 85-ish.
That's 40 years ago. I can't possibly remember that.
Not Rick.
It wasn't Falco.
Not Falco. No. That Falco was that German guy who did the Rocky Amadeus.
Right.
There we go, Marcus. Sorry. There we go, Marcus. Rockwell.
Oh,
yeah. That's it.
Yeah,
Rockwell.
Of course Marcus would know.
Yeah.
He's probably used Rockwell lyrics at least 5 or 6 times for comments on people's art postings.
Ruben, just admit it. There's another reason why you're seeing leather in your results. Don't think so. I've been, you know what, Alberto, have you guys been looking at Andre's posts for the last, I don't know, 20 days or so? He's posting an entire complete book, 1 page a day of the New Mutants annual, where Sam Guthrie / Cannonball is dressed like one of these guys who puts like a ball gag in his mouth and gets dominated by women in whips and stuff. Like, that's the only leather I've been seeing a lot of lately. Not a good look. I remember back then thinking, why would you put him in a like? Is that how you think, Bob McLeod, that a rock star dresses like? No, it looks a little bit.
That is as far fish out of water as you could put Sam Guthrie. I mean, when you think about it. So
right?
Yeah,
exactly. What's up, Sean? Yeah, exactly.
What about that? I remembered X-Men New Mutants name.
Hey, Mike Cushion, Maxwell. Yes, you were Rockwell is what you meant, but close enough, man. Well, you're right, Marcus. Yeah, we're going to talk with Jeff a little first, Alberto. One hit wonder was right. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's get into chatting a bit. Got a little surprise for you guys this evening. Going to do something just, I don't know, maybe I'm hoping it doesn't take more than 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. And we'll do it right after we have Jeff talk to us a little bit. As you guys know, he's been on, other shows of mine, but never a hangout episode and never a show and tell episode. So he has never had the opportunity to sort of tell us all here a little bit of background as to how he discovered comic books and then how that segued into getting into discovering and getting into artwork. So without further ado, if you don't mind, Jeff, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So comics were around when I was a kid. My parents had no problems picking up. They were of the opinion, if you're reading, you're reading. So reading comics was just fine.
I wish that was the attitude in my household. Yeah, but go on.
Yeah. So it, of course, started with Archie and Richie Rich. My dad read comics when he was a kid. Yeah, he was Kirby era Marvel. And so he read Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and stuff. But his father was in World War II, so he also read a lot of the war comics. So we'd go through the convenience store on base because my dad was career Air Force. And he'd pick up Sergeant Rock or GI Combat or whatever. And so there was always a stack of comics on the hamper in the bathroom, So while you were spending a little time, you could read the first third, since all those war comics were like 3-part stories or whatever. Yeah. And then, I was the target age when Star Wars hit the big screen. So Star Wars toys and comic books were the thing.
What age were you exactly? What is your age right now, if you don't mind telling us?
I'm 52 right now. So I was 5 when the movie came out.
5, yeah.
So target toy age, for all those original movies. There were a lot of really fun Christmases.
Yeah.
So, of course, there were Star Wars comics that came out, after the first movie. And so there was a tie within the property there between the toys and the comics. And eventually, I got into the X titles. So I had near full run of Uncanny back in the day. Had a full run of New Mutants, full run of X Factor, full run of X Force, through the 90s while I was in high school and college, or 80s and 90s while I was in high school and college. And there was one day near the end of college where, every book came poly-bagged with a trading card and a poster and a die-cut chromium cover, and I no longer gave a crap about the story inside because it was all about trying to get me to buy 3 copies of the same book. And I just sold the collection as a whole, and got out of it.
What year would that have been?
So that would have been 93, 94 probably.
Okay.
But that was just about the time that Lucas was ramping up Shadows of the Empire and some of the Star Wars toys, trying to see if there'd be enough interest for doing the prequel movies. And so I was back to collecting Star Wars stuff again. And so that was the thread that eventually got me to the first Star Wars celebration, which was in Denver in 1999. And it was in the Denver Air Museum there.
That was the year right after the release of the first, what do you call it? I don't know how you Star Wars guys call it.
That was the year of the release for Episode 1, the first prequel.
Oh no, okay. I was thinking about the release of the same original movies, but with the few scenes digitally added in or whatever.
Oh, so the special editions. Well, the first time they modified it was 97. They cleaned them up, put them back on the big screen with the THX sound.
Okay.
Yeah. But then they did it a few times after that.
Okay.
I still remember trying to collect the pizza boxes from Pizza Hut.
Oh, really?
Terrible,
okay.
Terrible thing, that collector bug.
Did you play the PC games? Marcus is wondering.
No, I had a roommate that did, though. So, I mean, we were playing the games all the time. TIE Fighter and that whole group of games from that era. And so at that first Star Wars celebration, we went by, and it was weird because it was in the airplane museum. And so it'd be like, there'd be all the vendors were out in this big tent in the parking lot, and it rained the whole weekend, and it was a complete nightmare. But all the celebrities were inside the museum, and it'd be like, oh, Anthony Daniels is over signing autographs under the F-15. And then so-and-so is signing autographs under this airplane, because it had to spread, because it just wasn't a hall. There was these airplanes all in the way. And so my buddy Ed and I went up there for that first one. And we bumped into Dave Dorman at his table, and we're looking at his prints because he was doing the Rolling Thunder graphics, Star Wars prints through the Lucasfilm fan club and all at the time. And he's like, I've got some original stuff with me if you are interested in originals. And that was sort of the first time I started thinking about collecting the art.
Okay.
The year before.
What year was this now?
So that was 99.
That was okay.
Yeah.
And
so the year before, though, I had bumped into Bob McLeod's first version of his website and picked up a Star Wars page.
Oh, interesting.
Just to say I owned an original comics page.
You knew what it was?
Well, I mean, I was familiar with the comics, and so when I saw the page posted,
you remember
I knew exactly what they were. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I picked up that one page, and then the next year at Celebration, we were talking to Dave Dorman, and he's like, "Go meet me behind this airplane at 3:00, and I'll have my portfolio." So we're sitting on these steps behind that plane, and he's just pulling out, original concept sketches and some finished pencil pieces, because he does several versions of a pencil piece before he does his paintings. And I picked up a couple of his prelim sketches for some of the Star Wars prints that he was doing at the time. And that sort of kicked it off. And so that next year, which would have been 2000, Joe Corroney, who was one of the Lucasfilm artists at the time and wound up becoming a really good friend of mine, was doing stuff for Star Wars Gamer magazine. So the role-playing games had its own magazine for a while, and they do these character sheets within the magazine.
Okay. Can I just, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine.
It's just, I want to try to keep up with the chat at the same time as you're speaking, because I sometimes wonder if that's the best way sometimes, although of course it makes me have to interrupt, but I see a comment sometimes and I don't understand them. And I'm like, okay, I need to jump in just to see if you know what he's talking about, because I'm lost here. So first of all, good evening to you. Chuck Arnold's in the house. And
hey.
We played a lot of Masters of the Terras Kasi at our apartment. You know,
it's one of the video games, and that's, if you had to describe it, I'd say Star Wars Street Fighter. So
Terras, but it's not related. It's not part of Star Wars.
It is. So that is the martial arts of the Star Wars universe, is the Terras Kasi.
Oh.
So it is a fighting style. And so it would be Star Wars themed characters doing that kind of combat.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the Doritos discs. Oh yeah, I chased all the Taco Bell cups. There was so much. They were slapping the Star Wars logo on everything. So
yeah, for sure. Alberto says, "Let's get to the nitty gritty. What do you think of the Acolyte? Isn't that the show everybody was kind of saying it's not? It's really disappointing. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
My whole thing is all Star Wars is good Star Wars, because no Star Wars sucks. Having no Star Wars.
Yeah.
And probably not with the same perspective that most fans are. This cropped up as a comment when you posted about the show coming up. If I were to get the Star Wars license, what movie would I make? And I said, I'd just take the money and run, which I think would be the smart thing, because dealing with the fans would be terrible.
Yeah. For sure.
But I have and maybe it's because of my history, archaeology background, I have no hard and fast loyalty to canon.
No loyalty to canon?
No. And so
you're saying as long as it's a great story, you don't care if it is canon. You just want to like it.
I don't even care if it's a great story, really. I mean, I prefer it when it's a great story. But if I watch it and I don't like it, I just don't watch it again. And how many times have we retold the King Arthur legends in one form or another? And there are those versions that I go back and I will reread or rewatch, and there are those that I don't. But at least we keep it as part of the conversation. And that's kind of how I approach Star Wars. But if I were to get tapped to do the next movie, I would completely ignore everything that's been done, and I would do the movie adaptation of the novel Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which was the original novel put out after the first movie. Alan Dean Foster had redone George Lucas's script to do the novel adaptation when they released it as a book, as the film adaptation. And then he did the first, what would be considered today, expanded universe novel. And it was Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Splinter of the mind's eye. Okay.
Yep. And, you know, at that point, Luke doesn't have a sister. And it's a Luke and Leia kind of focused story. And there's the tension that, you know, all of us were expecting until we get that little Luke throne in Return of the Jedi where we find out he was kissing the wrong person. So,
yeah.
And, you know, that novel, which I enjoyed and was a favorite of mine because there was not a lot of material out in 1977, 78, 79. Yeah, so it's got a particular place in my nostalgia that, you know, I'd like to see it done as a film, even if it made no sense within what is canon ever since then. So,
okay, fair enough. If I could just wrap up your story.
So anyway, Joe had these things he did in Star Wars Gamer magazine, and it was character sheets for Marvel characters, for the aliens that show up in the Marvel comics back in the day. And he was selling those pieces on eBay, his original art.
On eBay, okay.
On eBay. And so Joe ended up going...
But you had already met him and bought your first piece before he started selling them on eBay.
No, I hadn't bought one from Joe yet. So I bought the piece from Bob McLeod. I bought the pieces from Dave Dorman. Then Joe was the next step in 2000. And so in 2002 would have been Star Wars Celebration 2 with the second movie. And they did an Artist Alley at that Star Wars Celebration. And that's when I met Joe in person and Jan Dersma and Dave Dorman again, and Tom Hodges, and a whole group of the Lucasfilm artists from that early 2000s era. And Jan Dersma, I picked up 2 of her pages. She did 1 issue of the original Marvel run, and they were just announcing some of the Dark Horse comics that she was going to be doing at the show. And so I picked up 2 of her original Marvel pages at that one. And then that's... And weirdly enough, it was a fill-in issue, and she penciled it, and then her husband, Tom Mandrake, inked it.
Right.
I did not know Tom at the time. I knew Jan from some of the online stuff, but the Tom connection hadn't registered in my brain yet. So she signed the pages at Celebration and then handed them to this guy next to her behind the booth, and he pulls out a Sharpie and starts to sign them.
You're like, what the?
And I'm like,
what are you doing?
You know, surprised. And then, you know, I looked at the signature and I was like, oh. And then all the buttons clicked. But
came together. You realized.
And so that from there is where the OA.
Yeah.
The toys phased out. The OA J curve inverted, and it's been pretty much original art since then.
Okay. Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, making it official here after the multiple visits you've made on the channel. So that's great. Love to have it official. Excellent. So guys, before we get into that surprise I mentioned, I just want to quickly do a couple of promos just to let you know. Carl's in the house early tonight, and he just did this week's, yesterday, he put out the video for this week's episode of Bagged and Boarded, and here you go. That's where Carl reviews some books that he picked up this week. So that's
I need to catch up on some Carl videos.
You're behind
all of last week with my dad for a trip to San Antonio, and I just feel like I'm completely disconnected at this point. And I looked and like everyone's posted videos, and I'm like, I've got hours of catch up that I'm going to need to do because I didn't catch your show last week. And so
that's a lot of stuff, right? I totally
but you know, I've got a job where I spend a lot of time writing, and I can just put the shows on
in
the background and listen in, and I'll catch up eventually.
For sure. Multiverse comes into play when they do the Lego Star Wars shows.
That is true.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like Legos unless you're stepping on one at 3 a.m?
Nobody likes that. That's for damn sure.
Nobody likes that.
At any time of day, by the way, just to make it official. It's not a 3 a.m. thing. It's a 24/7 thing. You never want to be stepping on Legos. with your bare feet, you know? Yeah.
Right.
That's, yeah. Finally, we'll be opening up some more art this week. Hey, okay. So we'll get a double episode week from Carl's collection this week. Nice. Looking forward to it. As R2 to give you an AI recap.
And I think the next comment he says it should have been ask R2. Yeah, I could ask R2 to give me a recap of everyone's shows that I missed over the last week. Yeah.
Okay. His show last week has more Carl too. Whose show? His show?
Your show?
His show last week has more Carl too. Oh, you mean my show? Why would you say his show? You mean because you were on it? You're talking about yourself?
He may be talking to me though. In which case it'd be his.
Yeah, that's weird.
Whichever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the confusion, Carl. Appreciate it. But that was a fun show. And as usual, YouTube ripped me off. 60 some odd views. But whatever. I don't want to get into that. What else we got? Hey, Ian.
How's it going?
Hey, everyone. Hey, Jeff and Ruben. Good to see you, Ian. Those and damn Barbie shoes. Barbie shoes? Oh, really? Does those hurt? I can't say that I ever fell on those.
I would think if I stepped on a little small plastic pink high heel, it would probably be pokey.
Yeah, I would think so, though, too. I don't think as hard, as painful as the Legos, because Legos would be, because the shoe would still probably have
no
a
flex and a
Lego.
Lego.
There's a little flex, I think.
Yeah.
No? On the shoe?
I think,
a little?
yeah.
And the fact that the Lego is always sharp edges, right? They're so sharp and hard.
I feel like the Barbie plastic is similar to the original 12-inch G.I. Joe plastic, and there's a little bit of flex in it, where there is no forgiving in a Lego.
No, exactly. No forgive whatsoever, for sure. One show with Ruben with Carl on it is equivalent to 12 Carl-linked videos. Thank you. I appreciate that. And let me go back to this one. We have a new person, and by new, I mean first-timer in the chat, everybody. Special Edgar Alt button on a keyboard. I don't know. Special _ Edgar ALT. What's up? Hello. Good to see you. If you don't mind, Special, I'll call you Special. Let me know how you found my channel or this video. I don't know if you've been here silently watching in the past, but this is your first time in the chat, so it's the first time I've seen your name. So let us know how you found out. Appreciate it. Good to see you, Mark. Good morning to you. I was indeed talking to Jeff, therefore his equals me. Yes, thank you, Carl, for clarifying. We figured it out now, you know. When it's dark, they both suck. But listen, like I said about the time, it sucks just as bad at any hour, and it sucks whether it's dark or light.
Yeah.
You know, whether you see it happen.
I think Rick may have a winner. I think Jack's, because I think there could be the potential for penetration there.
Jack.
Yeah, but if you stepped on a Jack, that pointy part, I think
they would hurt, but at least they're round tipped, so they're not. I still
they're
feel
not all round tipped because the two on the main axis where you spin them, those are pointed. Oh, yeah, okay. It's the ones around the edges that have the rounded end. So,
okay. Yeah, for sure.
We're 15 minutes into a discussion of sharp things you can step on, and you don't think a recipe show would work? This chat will show up for anything.
On my channel, that's true. That's kind of true. Myth, another new guy. Myth, can you please, what are you all talking about? We're shooting the breeze, getting to know Jeff a little bit, letting him let us know a little bit about how he got into collecting. Now we're just making a little bit of small talk before we get into the next segment of our show, which will be, well, you'll find out in a second, and that'll be 10, 15 minutes or so. And then after that, we'll get into a show and tell of original artwork featuring art from Jeff's collection. So there, it's original comic art. How did you find my channel, by the way? Let me know. And pleasure to be here. Found this live randomly. Okay, cool. Thank you, Special. Oh, welcome. And about the name, it's not actually too special. It's just a pun. Okay, cool. All good, man. All good. Jeff said penetration. What?
That's a Beavis and Butthead line right there.
What kind of show is this? Yes, exactly. You guys are too funny. Okay. Next segment of the show, everybody. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due because I always believe in doing that. about 3 hours before we went live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain. So Tom McDonald, who's in the chat right with us right now, he reached out to me, and he had a suggestion. And it's not the first time he's done this. He had a suggestion about something. Would I want to do something on tonight's show? And he's like, yeah, I know you don't. I know it's, you don't like to do things last minute or whatever. But yeah, no shit, Sherlock. When I already have an entire show planned out. We all know how these shows go. The show and tells, they already go so long enough as it is. He's yeah, let's add more to it, But
But from the guest perspective, let me say that the surprise is going to be the same. Because for folks that haven't done it, Ruben typically picks the pieces from your gallery, and you never know what's going to pop up. So
that is true.
Yeah.
That is very true. That is very true. Welcome to the toys that suck when you step on it. Yeah, thanks, CJ. Yeah, exactly. Hurts your soul to step on your pet. Yeah. What's up? Yeah, Myth. Yeah, so I thought, hey, this might be fun. Tom's got a fun little idea just because it's something different and we haven't done before. It's just a fun little thing for several minutes that we can do. And so I said, yeah, I mean, as long as I don't have time, because it's 3 hours before showtime, if you can, if we need slides for this, as long as you have them, you made them, you can just give them to me. So all I got to do is download them and upload them to the software, the streaming software. Then I'm good. And he said, yeah. And yeah, so we're going to do it. And so just before we get into that, let me just get the last couple of comments. Goldie was great in that movie. What movie? Next segment on Ruben, we dance. You maybe.
I think we missed a Wildcat comment. That's where the Goldie Hawn piece come from.
So say that again about Goldie Hawn?
I think there was a Wildcat comment just a few before that one. That's where the Goldie Hawn.
Oh, I missed the one from it was on Wildcats, and Goldie Hawn told him the importance of good penetration. I didn't. And anyway, he was on fire, by the way, just so you know. Since you didn't watch last week's episode yet, Jeff, he was on fire, that Marcus. He was on fire last week with those similar contents. The accusatory content about me and having seen movies. So you should check it out just for all the episode-long nonstop accusations. It was a riot. It was a riot. So he was on point. Yeah, Tom, exactly. Trying to get me out of my comfort zone. Exactly. Lots of foreplay in the surprise. There you go. Yeah, it is the swing route episode. Ruben ignores Marcus these days. I never do. Wildcat was filmed in my high school. Oh yeah, that's cool. Are you guys counting manga as comics? I mean, they are, but they're distinct. It just depends on what the topic of conversation is, Myth. Like when we talk about the industry, sales of comics and, sales aren't great. They haven't been great for 25, 30 years, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's because, most people in North America who buy and read comics don't also read manga. But some manga readers also read some North American type comics, so there you go. All right. And manga is 100% comics. And listen, it's the name in Japanese for comics. So that's what it means, right? So but when we speak about comics, just depends on the context of the topic, how we're talking about it. But okay, let's do this. So what we're going to do, Jeff, is Tom prepared a quiz for you.
This will go poorly.
No. You know me. I'm no superstar, high-level Star Wars guy. And there are 10 questions, and even I got 4 of them right. So I'm like, if I got 4 of them right, like you should be able to ace this. All right?
Well, if he pulled these out of Rusty Miller's Jedi quiz book back from the 80s, I can't remember that far back.
Okay, yeah, you're talking about manga. Okay, we're gonna get off that.
That's right. I will find a friend. Ask for the 50-50.
All right. So everybody, we got these, as I said, we got these on slides. So let me move over to the slides.
I now know Marcus has given me the keyword. All the answers are Grogu.
I don't think any of them are, to be honest.
We'll find out.
We'll see. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right, everybody, and don't. I know we're on a. Okay, how about I can't trust these guys, Jeff. So how about you just try to avoid looking at the chat while we're doing the quiz, just so that you don't
I'm
sneak.
switching from comments to private chat, so I can't.
Okay,
see.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, and
so Marcus text me.
No, you can do it. Bob. You can do it now because he's not in the chat, so you can do it if you want. So what type of art are you going to be showing? Is it going to be your own or stuff Marvel and DC, some Marvel and DC stuff? It's from Jeff's collection.
It is not stuff that I've drawn.
No, it's going to be.
I assume it is not stuff that I don't think I've posted anything that I've drawn.
No. It's going to be 20 pieces from Jeff's art collection, comic art collection. It was a Letterman back then, or answers. Okay, guys, let's all talk about manga and chat to annoy him. I'll just ignore those myth. Jeff just entered the cash cab portion of the show. That's right. I hope you heard that Jeff collects. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Alberto. It's either Grogu or Rockwell. Do it, Jeff. Remember Ruben was talking about ball gags earlier? Oh my God. Wondering Ruben is going to pick a lot of non-Star Wars to be cheeky. Was it 2 weeks ago that Matt was on? I think it was 2 weeks ago, Kavi. When Matt was on, he's like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to see when Jeff is on." And he's not even here, but I digress. He's busy, I guess. He'll be by later or rewind, whatever. Yeah. But I told him, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna see a ton of Star Wars stuff, whatever." And I said, I don't want to say much, but you might be surprised. You might be surprised. I like to throw curveballs. You know that, especially the lefty. Ooh, good curveballs on the inside part of the plate. So we'll see. Let's all see what happens here tonight. I should tell you guys. Oh no, I'm not going to tell you. I'll just surprise. It's better. At least well-rounded. I guess you'll be the judge of that. You guys will be the judge. Okay. And we'll see what Jeff thinks after it's all over. On with the quiz. The guy on the right, slightly Italianness. That's me. I can pass for Italian, Spanish. In the past, I've passed for Middle Eastern. Yeah. So you never know. I'm like Lon Chaney, with foreplay leading to the quiz, it'll be longer than the quiz itself. These are not the pics you are looking for. What are those pictures on your wall? Original art, my friend. Paperback covers, paperback novel covers from the 60s, 50s, and 60s. You guys are animals. Cast on Penguin. All right, everybody. Here we go with the first question. Hold on. Let me see. Let me cue this all up. All right. So we're going to start with this. All well prepared for us by, again, as I said, Tom McDonald. What a gentleman. The ultimate surprise Star Wars comic quiz for Jeff Wedding. All right, you ready for the first question? And I guess they're I think he tried to do them easier to and they get harder as they go. And some of the questions are multi-part, 2 or 3 part questions. In other words, there's 2 or 3 things you have to give an answer to in that one question.
Good grief!
Is
there an essay portion?
Yeah, I think you'll get it all. Don't worry about it. All right, you ready for the first one?
Sure.
All right, let's do this. Question number 1. What Star Wars character do you most share a career path with?
Well, that's open to interpretation. I suspect Tom is leaning towards Shelley Aphra, who is the xenoarchaeologist in the Star Wars galaxy. But I've always kind of felt that I'm R2 because he's the everyman who ends up saving the universe. So,
who ends up saving the universe?
R2D2. He's the hero of all those movies.
Oh, okay. Well,
but yeah, Dr. Aphra, I'm sure is the answer he was looking for. Yep.
Oh, okay, that's it, Daddy. Okay, and the answer is Dr. Aphra is a rogue archaeologist introduced in Marvel's Darth Vader from 2015, the Marvel series. And is he correct in using the terminology, Jeff? I just want to make sure. Is she an archaeologist?
Yes.
Okay. And is she Is she a rogue? What do you mean by a rogue archaeologist?
So if you think of our universe and timeline, there was the early phase of this is cool old stuff that belongs in the museum, progression to today where we need to learn all the data we can and, preserve sites as much as we want. She would have taken a left turn at Albuquerque, and her thing would be, I'm going to use all this old Empire tech and super weapons for my own ill-gotten gain.
Got you.
Yeah. Very right when she's introduced, she's chasing some stuff and falls within the path of Darth Vader, and he kind of controls her destiny for the first arc of her character story. So
okay, well, Copy says she basically cares most about her own self-interest, right? So she's you can't trust her basically. Is that
No.
Right. You can't. You don't want to. You got to be really careful if she tries to make an alliance with you, that kind of thing, or like you better have eyes on the back of your head, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Because at some point, when her self-interests change or are no longer being forwarded by what you're doing, she'll either betray you or disappear and drop you like a hot rock. So
got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Excellent. Okay. All right. So one thing on everybody.
It's not a shutout. Everything past this is gravy.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so question number 2. Marvel first published Star Wars comic book run began in 1977. So what year is what he means? What year did the first run end, and what was the issue number?
The final issue was 107. I'm trying to remember.
Even I got that.
19... I feel like it went 2 years beyond Jedi, so I think it was 1985, but I could be off by a year.
Kavi says, you've got this. Kavi says, you've got this. Number one Marvel fan says 5 on the year, I guess he's talking about.
Oh, I think he read it as the adaptation of the first movie was the first 5 issues.
Oh.
So, yeah, the adaptation would have ended with issue 5, right?
No,
Tom's looking for the whole Marvel run.
Yeah, the entire Marvel run, yeah. Marcus got it wrong. Wow, he said 108.
Well, there was an issue 108, but that was after Marvel got the license back.
Oh, yeah, I don't count that. And we're talking about, when they first published Star Wars comic book run, and it came to an end.
There was a break in publishing there.
Yeah. But he's showing his knowledge that there was, an extra issue, obviously, Yeah, for sure. So 86, I thought, but could be wrong. Will Sportasio cover. And 107.
It may have been 86.
Monthly. So 86. All right, I
was still living in Missouri when it happened, so I remember that part.
Okay. And here's the answer, everybody. The series continued until 1986, totaling 107 issues.
Yep, so Kavi got it.
Okay. But did you say 5 yourself, Jeff?
I said 87. I thought it was 2 years. Or I said 85. No, you're right. I said 85 because I said 2 years after Jedi. So it went an extra year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. You got one little partial mistake, but yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Score 2 out of 2. Oh, he's giving it to you. 2 out of 2. He said 85, but also said within a year, so I will give it to Jeff. All right.
So all right. This is more of a hand grenades than a horseshoes.
Yes. Apparently on this show, we give out participation trophies, is what he's saying. Okay. That's
I'm
okay.
Good with that.
What do you consider the first appearance of Padme in comics? Black Viper, why are you cutting into the show, the quiz show with your own comics? But okay, tell them quickly if you know it.
So my thing is, it's a film character. I do not consider any comic appearance to be their first appearance. Their first appearance was on film or on screen.
I get that.
And so if it is specifically introduced, then I care about it. But I don't chase first appearances of characters in comics.
But do you remember when the character would have first appeared in a comic book? Or no?
I have no idea. They may have done some stuff running up to the movie. prior to the adaptation coming out for The Phantom Menace. So those later books I can't keep with all the titles that have come out between Marvel and then Dark Horse and then Marvel again and the IDW books. I can't keep that chronology straight. You need a flow chart.
He says that some say she's a painter on a painting on the wall as her earliest appearance. Well, that's kind of like one of those cameo things, tiny little cameo things. It depends how you look at it, Yeah, that counts as a first appearance, but you have to remember to tell people it's just a tiny cameo of her as a painting on the wall, not a true first appearance where she's part of the story,
Or someone's leg in a final panel.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure either. Even Cobby says, wow. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Part of it is because, I don't ever think about the first appearance in the comic as being a first appearance thing because they're in the movies, and that's where...
No, I get it, but comic people historically, because it's a different form of media, that they separate, right? It's like first appearance in film, first appearance in comics, that kind of thing. So, okay, excellent.
Well, that's not how my brain tracks it. So, that info is not in there.
All right. Okay, next question, everybody, is which Star Wars comic introduced Grand Admiral Thrawn? What year? And, in what year was it published, and what was the publishing company?
Well, he was introduced in the novels for the Timothy Zahn novels. So I would imagine it was Dark Horse's adaptation of Heir to the Empire. I have no idea what year that came out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. As I said, there's just been so many Star Wars titles.
Would you remember, what title, what's the title of the comic book and who published it?
It would have been the adaptation of Heir to the Empire, I would imagine. Yeah.
So you're going with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let us check out the answer.
And Kavi, the comic came out on newsstands before the movie premiered. The original Star Wars one. So
what was
and the ad on the back page? I hope it's for a Hostess fruit pie. Carl's right. The book came out in the 90s, but they didn't get around to the adaptation. Let's see, Dark Horse got the Star Wars license in 95, I think. So I'm thinking they didn't get around. And they did the it must have been 97, 98, maybe. It might have even been later than that. So
let's give the answer, and that is Star Wars Heir to the Empire. Correct there. A Dark Horse comic, and like you said, adaptation of Timothy Zahn.
So it was in 95.
Yeah, 1995. Well, hey. Yeah, fun, man.
I knew it was one of the first ones they adapted. After, because if I recall right, Dark Empire was what they launched with at Dark Horse.
Yes, that's
when
right.
They got the license.
I remember that. 91, right? I want to say
it may have been earlier. I thought they got the license in 95, but again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to remember so many dates and stuff for work.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. Trust me. Yeah. All right.
I also don't remember baseball stats. So.
Oh God, I used to back my hand like crazy. All right. So next question. You ready for the next one? Let's get to that one, and that is: which artist took over the Star Wars art after Howard Chaykin left, and what issue number was his first issue?
Well, and I think I misspoke earlier. The last issue of the Star Wars movie adaptation would have been 6, because the first of the Marvel comics that was a new story was issue 7. And that was basically a retelling of Seven Samurai done in the Star Wars universe, where Han puts together the group to save the farming village from the raiding group of space thugs.
Okay,
I'm trying to remember who... Because that story arc ran through issues 7 through 10, because 11 is when Luke shows up on the water planet, and there were an assortment of folks in there doing stuff. I'm trying to remember. Howard Bender was doing the UK stuff at the time.
Yeah, but we're talking obviously the American stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. So I don't remember who the art team was on that first issue.
Okay.
Issue 7.
Oh, and you think then your answer is issue 7.
So it's issue 7, and I am blanking on who took over, because Infantino I don't think had gotten on the book until that second story arc.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I read these questions, as I was working to put them up here into the software, that particular question, I didn't have time to check. But when I looked at the answer that Tom gave me, I was like, is he sure? That's not what...
It would have been too early for Wyatt check. Byrne only did the one cover.
Why don't we see what Tom gave as his answer? And then if he's wrong, you can all lambaste him for it, All right. So here's the question again. Which artist took over the Star Wars art after Howard Chaykin, and what issue number was it? The answer is, according to Tom, Carmine Infantino became the lead artist after Chaykin left with issue 11. But my memory was that
Chaykin did that first. Actually, now that he said that, Chaykin did do that first post-movie story arc, that 7 Samurai inspired story arc. So he did the first 10 issues. Yeah, I can't remember who inked them on all of that, but
no fill-ins like by Hoberg, like Marcus says, or
Hoberg may have inked some of those. I don't think that. I don't think he did the pencils and inks on all of them.
Fred Hembeck. Nice.
It was not Fred Hembeck.
Too hard to recall this stuff. Infantino in 11 had
the reason I can't recall these is because I can't afford these.
Well, that's a good enough reason, I suppose. Yeah,
I got to hold a page from issue 1 in San Diego. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I did not have the $60,000 in my pocket to take it home with me.
Not
sadly. Yeah.
But I can understand certainly that when you don't have pages from a certain era in your collection, I can see how you may not be up to par with all the data knowledge in your head, because it's not the era that you can't really afford that stuff. You can't play in that right sandbox. You're just going to kind of stay focused in the areas you always do buy from, and so it's easy to just forget whatever knowledge you have from those earlier eras, right?
Yeah, and with my work, and for those who don't know, I am an archaeologist, which is probably why the Dr. Aphra question was first. I have to data dump a lot because whatever new project I'm working on, I have to import all the new info for the new site I'm working on, and then I have to just make room for it. So that's why I depend on a vast library of reference materials, including for the Star Wars stuff.
Hey, Marcus is he's disappointed in you. He says Jeff might as well be a Star Trek guy.
Yeah,
that's it.
I might as well.
Special Edgar ALT says, I think I'm going to make my own black and white comic that's going to be called The Night of Zoos. What's that? I'm not getting the joke. I'm not a Star Wars guy. Do you get that?
That one is eluding me.
Okay. Sorry, man. It's overall.
There could be a pun in there, though.
Yeah, maybe. The force is not as strong in Jeff as I thought. Oh, a lot of disappointed people.
No, but the Schwartz is high.
So. Episode 1. Yes, it is. I used to know this kind of stuff back in the early 90s. All I did was read comics. Yeah, no, me too, Tom. Like the same thing with me. Back in the day, when I was so into the comics, you could not get anything by me. The stupidest, most unimportant, trivial crap I would come up with, even whether I liked the comic or not, But But over the passage of time, decades, you start to lose it all,
And part of it shifts with our attention on where our collection is at. And because a lot of these early pages are now out of my budget, my focus and the part that is running around in my head is a lot of the modern artists. And so Stephen Cummings and Wayne Foucher and Minky, who was doing Dr. Aphra, and Harvey Tolabau doing High Republic. And, those are the names that are sticking in my head because those are the pages that are in my price range that I'm actively tracking. So a lot of this older stuff.
Yeah, it totally.
It's dusty.
That's what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
You're not really following that stuff, tracking and whatever. It makes sense,
But it's a fun quiz, Tom. I'm enjoying this.
Okay. Next one. Let's hit this. When is the Star Wars The High Republic comic series set in the Star Wars timeline?
Which High Republic series? Which
would be? I guess you can count it as the first one.
So that's all. I think the most recent one is about 700 years before the Battle of Yavin, so the first movie. And it goes back, I think, 1,500 years. I know it ranges a little bit more in the novels, and Kavi's read all those.
And sorry, Jeff, you said how many years did you guess?
I think the most recent one in that part of the timeline is about 700 years before. Kavi's saying 200.
200 before episode 1, phase 1 of High Republic. Okay. And what's up, Dwayne Zapane? Early on. Nice.
Right. It is the earliest part of what is now canon.
Very specific of you, Dwayne. Plus, back then, all you had to do was read comics and the price guide. Today, we have the internet. Yeah.
Right. And the internet can't lead you astray.
And Tom's like, oh, crap. There's more than one High Republic?
Well, there have been different phases and story arcs for the main
what's up, Jason?
High Republic series for Marvel, but IDW is publishing the young adult comics.
Oh, right.
And so the ones that Harvey Tolabau and all are doing the art for. So that they're overlapping. So yeah.
The real answer is who cares, says Wes.
Well, and that goes back to
what a hater, right, Kavi? Yeah, West hasn't been buying in a while, and he's coming into hate. Oh, that's sad.
Since I'm not totally beholden to the canon. Wherever it fits in, it fits in.
Well, let's see what the answer is that Tom gave, and see how close it is to you and what you and Kavi said.
Kavi's right on the money.
Wow. The High Republic series set about 200 years before the events of Phantom Menace during a golden age for the Jedi. Wow. Nice going, Kavi.
And it's been going for a few years. I just read the first novel. Actually, I listened to it. I bought the audiobook.
Okay.
Like 2 months ago. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us. This is taking more longer than I ever imagined it would. But let's go to the next question, so we try to get through this quicker. Next question is: which artist is known for their work on Dark Horse's Star Wars Dark Empire, and what year? Again, you probably have trouble with that, but what year did the story debut?
Well, we've already established I've forgotten what year Dark Horse got the license, so it's got to be a couple years before Heir to the Empire. Dave Dorman did the covers, and then Cam Kennedy.
He's looking for interior.
Right, and Cam Kennedy did the interiors for Dark Empire 2, and then he wasn't available, so it was another artist that did Empire's End, which was the third miniseries. But he did it in Cam style. So Cam Kennedy is going to be my interior answer, and 91 then, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And survey says Cam Kennedy.
Ooh.
Look at that. Wow. So I was right.
Coming back to me.
Yeah, and I was right earlier too when I said I felt like they had started the Dark Horse stuff in 91. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. Let's keep it moving. Next question. Who was the artist behind Marvel's Star Wars issue 100, and what year was that published?
Ooh. 100 was a double-sized issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would have probably been depending on when the months and all fell, 84, 85. And who did do the issue for that?
Yeah,
or the artwork for that?
But remember, in terms of the year, you kind of can figure it out by remembering what we talked about earlier with the question about the last issue and when that.
Yeah, but I don't remember what month 107 came out.
Well, no, but if you, I know, but you.
Yeah. So if it came out in January, there was a bit of a lag and stuff. So I'll say 85. It was not Jim Lee.
It was not.
It was also not Michael Golden because he did issue 38.
And you know what's funny? You know what's funny, guys, is that I'm not Mr. Star Wars, and even I remembered. I knew this answer. I was like, I thought, oh, for sure, you guys are gonna know. Wow. Yeah. Simonson. Nope.
No, because Simonson's run was done by then. And it was not Fred Hembeck either. So
okay, let me show
you. I don't feel like Ron Friends did that one.
But, you're right about that. You're right about that. All right, let's show it. Here we go. The answer is Cynthia Martin, illustrated
did
Star Wars.
Cynthia do 100? I thought someone else came in and did that issue, but
well, somebody.
It's in her era, so I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah,
that is certainly one of the issues I do not have art from. So,
all right. Next question is: inkers rarely become writers. What Star Wars writer was the rare exception? Whose book did he adapt, and who did the pencils on that book?
Holy crap! I have no idea.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Inkers rarely become writers.
Wow, interesting. Let me give you a hint. One of the all-time. I mean, I know it's still kind of a wide scope, but still, it might help. One of the all-time most popular inkers. I'll say that.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'll just throw Simonson out because we haven't used him yet. But know, Walt did most of the penciling. I mean, it could be Tom Palmer, but
you want to know the answer?
Did he become a writer?
I don't.
I just think of him as an inker. Let's go with Tom Palmer.
All right, here's the answer, everybody.
Oh, Terry Austin.
Yeah,
there's a good one.
Adaptation of The Splinter of the Mind's Eye. That's the book you were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah, that's a comic adaptation of that novel.
Yeah, and Chris Sprouse penciled it.
Yeah, that's right. Chris Sprouse did some great art for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Fong got Terry Austin. He was the first guy to guess it.
Oh, very nice.
Special guest Todd McFarlane. Now, he did that fill-in thing with the G.I. Joe issue. I never read much Star Wars comics, me either. Or go back to school. I want Tom to be my teacher. I like his grading. Austin would make sense. There you go.
Definitely a curve.
Besides a few Clone Wars comics in my local library. Yeah, I never wrote any, I don't think. Or read any, I should say. 8 out of 10. I thought you would get that because Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. All right. Next one. Sorry, and let me see that again.
Yeah, but I don't think
that.
I think of that book and I think of Chris Sprouse's art. I totally forgot that Terry Austin did the adaptation on it. Yeah.
I never knew. Yeah. Never knew that Austin had ever written anything. That's pretty wild. Okay. Next question. I think there's a couple more to go, people. And here we go. Speaking of inkers, which artist was known for both penciling and inking many of their Star Wars issues in the 1980s? I just want to say that when I saw Tom's answer, I was like, he did? Because I remember him being the artist with another inker, but I don't remember him ever being his own inker. But anyways, I'll assume Tom knows more than I do about this. But
And Tom clearly knows more about this than I do about this. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We probably did talk about it.
You got a guess? Any guess?
Yeah, my guessing isn't going too well, is it? So let's just throw something out there. Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
No clue. Because all I ever think about are combos of people.
Okay, because in that case, I just want to say that when I read the question, I was like, he penciled him, like he inked himself? Because I just remember what everybody's guess of Tom Palmer. That's what I remember. I remember this guy being inked by Tom Palmer all the time, not him inking himself. Anyways, here's the answer.
Unless it's Friends. Oh, it would be Friends. There you go.
One of the artists who both pencil and inked his key storylines in the mid-'80s. I do not remember. Around what issue numbers, Tom? I'm curious because I just remember the Tom Palmer stuff. That's pretty crazy. I don't remember at all that he ever penciled and inked himself. That's very interesting, though, you know? Arnold Palmer, Rosie Palmer, Sarah Palmer. Art was too stiff. Sinnott, nope. McLeod, good guess. That was a very good guess, McLeod.
Yeah.
Sticky. I remember Palmer. Yeah, exactly. Me too, Kavi. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Tom's not even sure. He never looked it up. He's just going by memory. So his memory may be faulty, and he thinks that it had been Friends penciling and inking himself.
I wouldn't put it past Friends to be able to do that, but you know, usually you think of sort of those teams of folks. So
yeah.
But
okay, we'll let him check it up. Let him look it up, and we'll go on to the last. I believe it's the last question, and that is
scheduling. Maybe Tom wasn't available, so Ron just did all of it.
I don't remember it at all, and I feel like my memory of it was that Friends was never fast enough to be able to do that. You know, I don't remember him penciling and inking an issue of any title ever.
Right.
I have no memory of it at all, you know? So I would love for Tom to prove us wrong, and, you know, but maybe he's the wrong one. We'll see. Look it up, Tom. All right, last question, everybody. And that is, John Cassaday was famously selected as the new artist for the first arc of the Star Wars series in 2015 when Marvel again took over publication. Who was the first major character to appear in the book's first pages?
No idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's the modern era, man.
Yeah, I didn't. I have only read the Cassaday run once.
Oh, okay.
And it was probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
So I know it was probably Obi-Wan or Vader because they were in some of those early issues.
Okay. Well, we got Carl.
The only story arc I remember is where Han and Leia steal the AT-AT and Luke on the speeder bike, and they're trying to get away from about 1,000 stormtroopers. So, yeah.
Two Han with an R2. Captain America, that's very wrong. Solo's wife, definitely not. Vader, the Grand Inquisitor, R2 again, and Grogu. That's definitely wrong again. And Han Solo, and who the hell is Kuil?
He's the character from The Mandalorian.
Oh.
Nick Nolte does the voice for that character.
And special, Edgar ALT gets it. It is indeed Iron Man. Iron Man crossed over into the Star Wars universe, and yes, we all loved it. Stormtrooper. Nope. The answer is...
So 2015, when Marvel took the license back over, that was where I was sort of... I was getting out of exhibiting. I had about an 8-year lull where I stopped collecting OA, and I was a little butthurt that Marvel got the license because I was friends with a bunch of the Dark Horse artists at the time.
Oh.
And so I kind of ignored it. And so it was when I came back to later and read it on the Marvel app. And I only did so it's one that I've read through once, but it's not one that I've revisited a number of times. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the answer, according to Tom, and we know Tom apparently knows all, maybe, is this. Han Solo appears as an emissary of Jabba the Hutt when meeting with the Empire. And somehow I feel like he set this up for my benefit because he knows, how much I love Han Solo and Harrison Ford together,
That's right.
So I thank you, Tom.
There was a whole Blade Runner sub story going on in there that I'd completely forgotten about until right now.
Let's not go there, Jeff. Let's please not go there. But that was fun, man. Thank you, Tom. Everybody, please,
thanks.
A little thanks to Tom for trying to do something different and helping me out and offering me to do this with Jeff. That was very nice of him, and I really appreciate it, Tom. So who knows? Hopefully in the future we can do other fun little new things like that every now and then.
Yeah.
So thank you, appreciate it, man.
What was the quote from Pappy Boyington, the World War II fighter pilot? Show me a hero and I'll prove he's a bum. The same thing goes for those who you think know everything about everything. Yeah.
I'll go with that. Carl being nitpicky. It's also Luke and Leia, isn't it? In the masks? I don't know. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Who's
Kavi? Well, because Kavi owns the page.
Kavi owns that one?
That's what he said in that comment.
Oh.
I need to switch back over to comments, too.
Right. Han and R2, I guess I'm disqualified. Oh, yeah. Nice, man. Nice. That's awesome. But Marcus says he was right because the stormtroopers were in panel 1.
There you go.
Yeah, they weren't really featured, though, Tom had the advantage of using the internet. Yes, you did. Great page, Kavi. I mean, great page if you like fucking Han Solo, whatever. But whatever. Great page, I guess.
I do not have a Cassaday page from that series.
Hours. Oh, wow.
And I had my eye on one on Albert's site for the longest time that I'd picked out and said, when I'm ready to pull the trigger, and because they were, I think most of them are around $1,000, $1,200. So wasn't at a point where I wanted to sink that much into a single page. Yeah. And when I heard the news about Cassaday's passing, I went back and looked at the page, and I thought I really should just
get it
before it happened.
Before he
and I didn't, and I went back 3 days later, and I was just like, I need to go get, and it sold.
Oh, that
sold in the 3 days, right? Between
how it goes, right?
Sometimes you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when the artist passes away. If it's a good page that's still available, you've got. Sometimes it's a matter of hours, sometimes it's days, right? But typically you'll start seeing those good ones get picked up because people are finally the ones who have been procrastinating, right? It's like you, right?
Like me, exactly.
Finally, before he jacks up the price, quick, let me just finally get it now,
right?
So, but that's it. But well done, Jeff. Good, thank you for participating. That was I hope you enjoyed it, anyways. Great job, CJ.
Good job, Tom.
Why is the answer Han Solo and not R2? That's discrimination. Are you an R2 lover? I mean, we know, Jeff, that you are an R2 lover.
I am an R2 lover.
Roberto, you too? I don't know. Androids have rights too. Fun stuff, Tom. Exactly. Thank you again, Tom. Appreciate it. R2 is greater than Han and takes precedence as the hero of the story anyways. I'll agree to that. I'll agree that any character in the Star Wars universe, well, God, maybe Jar Jar Binks. Shit, that's a tough one. Okay. Anyone, the jury's out on Jar Jar. Oh, Jar Jar and the stupid losers with the slingshots. What do you call them? The Ewoks. Yeah. Jar Jar and the Ewoks, the jury's out. But for right now, anybody in the Star Wars universe is better than Han Solo, and Harrison Ford is an actor. Okay? It's my show, so I that's I'm sticking to it.
So that would include Jackson, the 6 foot tall green rabbit.
What the hell is that?
Oh, speaking of those Howard Chaykin issues.
Oh my God.
He was a gunslinging 6 foot tall green rabbit.
Hey, Wes answers or asks a good question. I think since Jedi have the ability to move things with their minds, how come they can always die by falling? Why can't they make themselves float or like hover? Yeah,
Have we seen them die by falling?
that's another good question.
If you fall but you don't see the body, Mace Windu can always come back. So we saw him go out the window, but we never see him land. So we shall see.
That's right. I'm hating on this Ewoks. Oh my God. Don't even get me. I'm going to go off for 10, 20 minutes. Don't make me do that. Ruben the Harrison hater. Yeah, baby. I'm taking my like away for the Ewok sticks. You never leave me a like. Or if you do, you always take them away. I don't care. I don't count you as a like. Ewoks are stupid losers? Ouch. Come on. Are you guys serious? You're offended by saying that Ewoks are like stupid losers? Come on, Black Viper of Dorne. Come on, really? Okay, if you were a little kid when it came out, like 7, 8 years old, okay, maybe I could see. But even at that age, I was like, okay, these fucking losers. Just this is for 3 and 4 year olds. Like this, I can't do this. I mean, you remember the scene where they're fighting in the forest, right? And they're using the slingshots, and like they couldn't even bother to reshoot the scene so that they could show them firing the slingshot and getting a good shot off. Like you would see these shots like bloop, like this little arc that went like not even 10 feet, like bloop. The Rock would just bloop.
And that's why there are special editions.
Oh, like what? Oh my God, so ridiculous. So ridiculous. The Emperor died when he was thrown down the shaft. Why couldn't he just float, is what West is saying.
But did he die?
Oh, that's the tricky thing there.
Because he shows up in episode 9.
Oh my God, I can't believe how many Ewok lovers we have. How dare you be racist against my Ewok brothers? That's insane. You guys are crazy. It's all perception. I was 4 when Jedi came out. And so you must love the Ewoks. Is that what you're telling me, Carl? You probably love them more than anybody. Justice for Ewoks.
By the 3rd movie, toys were definitely a consideration in the filmmaking. So, as it should be.
Look. This is all a part of my inability to experience joy anymore. It's been covered. No, I just call it out when I see it. That's all I'm saying, Coffee. Come on. Is it time to talk about what makes the least sense in Star Wars? No, it's time to get into the show and tell.
Because there's plenty of things that make no sense in Star Wars.
They took down with logs. That's the whole point. You know that wouldn't have happened if this was real. Like, come on. Come on, Dwayne. I love the stuff aimed for me. Of course you did. You were 4. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, never mind. I hate those Ewoks, those Ewokers, if you will. Yeah, those mother Ewokers. Exactly. All right. Show and tell time it is. Exactly. Ruben was tainted by Harrison Ford. That is true. Everything makes sense in Star Wars. The Force explains it all. Not to me. Ruben sided with the Ewoks when they put Harrison Ford to roast.
That's the part where he stood up and cheered in the theater.
At that point, I was a big fan of the Ewoks. So, yeah, you guys are good for something. Oh my God, it's so funny. Okay, Jeff, you ready for the show and tell?
Sure, it's going to be a whole nother quiz.
All right, it's a whole other quiz. Yeah.
Do I remember the artwork that I own?
Yes. As I always do, everyone, just to make it clear, I am, as usual, the selector. So Jeff does not have any clue as to what I have picked. And so, yeah, we will see. You guys will see it at the same time and be surprised along with Jeff, who is the only non-Sith or Jedi to ever wield, spelled wrong, wield, as in W-I-E-L-D, a lightsaber in a Star Wars movie. Only non-Sith or Jedi.
I think there's been a couple. I mean, Han Solo did it when he cuts open the Tauntaun to stuff Luke in them in Empire Strikes Back. And then...
wasn't that... Oh, that's true.
Yeah, he uses Luke's lightsaber. But
that's
then
true.
Finn
that's true, and that's
has
already
never been established as being a Jedi, and he uses the lightsaber against Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens, which Kavi is also pointing out in the chat. So there's at least 2 instances on film that I can think of.
Why is Dwayne saying General Grievous? Is that because he's going in terms of the order of the story?
Because because that would have been a prequel. But then General Grievous also was not Sith or Jedi, and he collected lightsabers and would also use them. So there's
right. So I guess he's pointing that out. I'm assuming because of the fact that in terms of the order of the story, that's from the movie that comes before the original 3 released movies, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't look at it that way. I always look at it in terms of the release of the movies, you know?
Right. So Grievous and Han and Finn, regardless of what order and what year those movies were, those 3 all.
I'm going to say Han Solo if you're going with the order that the movies came out.
Yeah.
Which one of the 2 is it? Is it Grievous or Han Solo? If you go in terms of, I guess it's Grievous if you're just talking story order, right?
Right.
That makes sense. Okay.
But certainly there have been at least 3 who we've seen on screen.
Hey, Jeff, did you see that? That's a good one. Very clever by Rick. What's the internal temperature?
That is a good one.
Oh, you see that?
Yeah.
Lukewarm. That's a really good one. I love that. Awesome, Rick. And yeah, those are the 2 I can remember, but I guess it's teased. Finn has force potential later. Oh, okay.
That he may have force potential, but
what about Luke before he learned the ways of the Force? Would that count?
Obi-Wan did hand him his dad's lightsaber and his shack, and he turned it on before he ever got trained. So,
and I guess that all comes down to do you consider him a Jedi from birth,
right?
You know, or just when it's, you know, the technicality when you become a Jedi, whatever, that whole thing, right? So, but yeah, thank you everybody for participating. Been a lot of fun so far, but we got to get into the art. Let's do this, and yeah, let me cue this all up. Here we go. Hold on, I'm seeing something that's what the hell? Why is this thing out of order? Give me a second, everyone. Oh, somehow one of my images got put out of order. I don't know if I click on it to move it. If it's
West, does it matter how many kisses one versus the other, as opposed to the quality of the kiss? I mean,
who did she kiss more, Luke or Han Solo?
I think there was more passion in the med bay for Luke than
personally. I think there was a lot more hanky-panky going on between C-3PO and R2, because that was some serious kind of love right there. You know, I don't know. I just felt like, to me, like he always had a very interesting relationship with R2. But, we'll leave it there. Art more like fart poops on your comics. What? Brotherly love counts more. Yeah. All right. So, yes, let's get up to the first piece, everybody. And for that first piece of the evening, we have big-time artist with a favorite character. Check this one out.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, this is
caught you by surprise. Caught you off guard there, Kick-On-San.
Out of all the Star Wars stuff that you could have picked, I did not expect to see that one pop off first. Yeah, so this was 2011. This was down in Phoenix Comic-Con. Asked Michael if he'd do a Princess Leia commission for me. This one, he used some off-brand, not Sharpie marker, and this thing off-gassed for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was one of those where you'd open the portfolio and you could smell it before you could see it.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, so it ended up living in a portfolio all by itself for a while until it calmed down. It was an interesting one because I got to circle back a few times during the weekend and see it in progress. But he did his signature in the negative. If you look in the bottom left corner when Ruben takes Mike's comment off, he Sharpied around the space for his signature to create the empty space that is his signature, which I thought was pretty impressive. Yeah, it was hard for me to work my brain around what he was doing down there because I was like, why isn't he just shading that in? But he was just slowly taking his time, doing a little bit at a time, and then he'd go marker some other piece of the background or whatever. And finally, like the last time I circled back, I just went through and I was like, oh, wait, that's the signature. That totally makes sense now. So,
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, did you get this one commissioned yourself?
Yeah. So I commissioned that one directly with him. Michael did Star Wars issue 38, Riders in the Void. It's the only issue in the original run that he worked on. And that particular issue has a lot of appeal with collectors. It was kind of a standout issue, both in terms of art and story. It had a very heavy metal feel to it.
Okay.
And since those pages don't come up for sale very often, and when they do, they come with a pretty big price tag. This is one of the instances, because early in my collecting, I thought, $100 Star Wars pages were the thing.
Right.
Yeah. And that I could just pick one up from every artist who had ever worked on the original Marvel run. And that was sort of what was in the back of my head when I kind of got into the whole collecting thing. And so this was my filler piece once I realized that they all weren't going to be $100 pages. And then some of them were going to be very pricey. And that, I'd be weighing whether it would be, the art page or a new car. So
you had to learn the hard way, like we all do,
Well, and before I got married, I'd never paid more than $500 for a car. So.
Wow. Yeah. I remember you telling me that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, when you're a bachelor, as long as it gets you from A to B, that's all I cared about.
And shit, I'm not a bachelor, and okay, I still lease a brand new car, whatever. Okay, so it's not an apples to apples comparison, but still, I'm not into sports cars because for me, I don't want to blow the money on something that depreciates so much. A car is for me, it's always been A to B,
right?
And when I wanted fun on the road, that's why I got into motorcycling. That's kind of my sports thing, sports bikes,
That's right. And little did I know, as Marcus is pointing out, that someday in my collecting era, Hembecks would cost more than $100 Star Wars pages.
Exactly. Which is it really is crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say really quickly, West, you're here. You're hanging out longer than you have been on your rare appearances that you make lately. I just wanted to point out that I haven't forgotten that you did tell me you would do a show and tell with me, and I've been waiting over 2 years. I know you're busy. I know you got the boys to take care of. You got the work, the business. I know. But, come on, squeeze me in there at some point. Squeeze me in, man. What do you say? All right. So we got him. Oh, and the other one I wanted to say is special. Just to let you know, YouTube has it set so that you're not able to put URLs into live chats. Yeah. So you can enter it, but then it won't appear. They delete it immediately. So there you go. All right, let's go to the next piece. So that was my Star Wars piece. So let me see what the next piece.
One Star Wars piece. So I will say that when Ruben reached out about the episode,
tell everybody, Jeff. Tell everybody. Go ahead.
I'm going to do the behind the scenes conversation. He's like, I don't think we should do all Star Wars, because I'm gonna pick other stuff. And I was like, fine. But he asked, he's like, how much do you want to do? And I said, look, with you picking Star Wars, whatever you pick is going to be a surprise. So why don't we do 2 pieces? And you pick one piece and I'll pick one piece, and that'll be the Star Wars pieces for the show. And then everything else is going to be a non-Star Wars surprise. So that's where I guess the Michael Golden was the pick. So unless you surprise me and you end up doing 3. So
right. Marcus says there's followed by 19 Hembecks.
There are not 19 Hembecks posted in my gallery because I haven't posted any of the cards to my gallery yet.
Well, I can promise it's not going to be 19 Hembecks. That I can promise. Jeff, I don't see any Art Adams on your cap. Did you do the recent CGC sketch cover op for a Star Wars cover?
Nope, I don't do cover sketches for the most part. So, yeah, if you look at my gallery over at Comic Art Fans, and it's under my real name, Jeff Wedding, majority of my collection is published interior pages because it spawned of my nostalgia from reading the books So I like the story pages as the focus of my collection. So, and yeah, I don't always have Art Adams' budget either. So, yeah,
That's another thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Something you got to keep, keep track of too. It's like, money is at a certain level, and the prices on original art with these big time named artists are on another level usually.
Yeah. And Matt has entered the chat, and I posted that sketch card online yet? I might have.
Hey, how come you got the Kavi? So how did you get the URL?
Because Kavi's on as an admin or whatever for your channel, right?
That's right. He's my admin. That's correct. That's right.
He's got the little monkey wrench symbol, so that's why he's got special privilege.
Yeah, thank you, Kavi. But of course, for the rest of you who don't want to do it now, just look down below in the description area of this video, and you will, of course, see the link to Jeff's gallery right there. Okay, and what's up, Matt? Good to see you. Ruben didn't pick the Radar Tech Matt sketch card. I admit I did not, Matt. I'm sorry. Any Lobot art?
There is some Lobot art if you look for it. I don't know that I've tagged it with that keyword for the search, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is, but the Kavi's midichlorian count is high. Okay. All right. Let us move on. And so what do you got? By the way, I'm shocked, Jeff. I'm actually shocked after you told them what happened and how we were going to pick the artwork. I really expected a few of these guys to be like, what? What do you mean you got Jeff on and you're not going to show Star Wars? Are you going to?
Those guys already logged off.
Huh?
Those guys already logged off.
Oh, they're gone, right? Star Wars.
They're already gone.
They've moved on.
They just clicked leave and then they were out of here.
Star Wars, click.
Yeah.
And unlike. Please. Also, speaking of please, if you, in all seriousness, if you are watching right now, you don't mind if you haven't done so, please click the thumbs up. I think it's right around under where I'm pointing here, somewhere around here. Thumbs up icon. Would appreciate it. That'd be nice. Okay. So let's go to the next piece. Cue this up. All right. Next piece in tonight's show and tell is.
It is another Star Wars piece. Yeah.
I'm throwing you curveballs. That's what I'm
throwing me curveballs because he didn't stick to the agreement, which is fine. No. So Ruairi is an Irish artist, and so this series was originally done for the comics overseas under the Star Wars UK publishing with actually I think it might have been the UK and Germany with publishing under Titan. And so this is a good space battle page with Luke in a Y-Wing fighting some TIE fighters. Man, I always loved the Y-Wing design. That out of all of the ships from the original movies, that one I think had the most World War II kind of look to it. And the World War II dogfight scenes for movies were one of Lucas's touchstones for what he was trying to accomplish with the space battles. And so the Y-Wing always had a good design factor that appealed to me. So it's nice to see this page. So this one was published overseas in the magazine in a serialized format, and then was reprinted over here. I can't remember if it was reprinted under Dark Horse or IDW, but
okay.
Yeah.
But it was ultimately republished in the
it was and I think it might have even I think it was republished both as a 4 or 5 issue series and then as a trade over here in the States. So
okay. Definitely a half mustache, Kavi.
In that bottom panel?
Yeah. Hope to see some totally about Star Wars art tonight. The force is strong with Harvey's pencils.
We shall see. Well, we're already like Harvey.
we're already, Rick, I mean, we're supposed to have a total of 2 Star Wars pieces and the rest non-Star Wars.
Right.
And we've already blown through the quota of Star Wars pieces. So I don't know if you're going to see Tolibau's art tonight. But yeah, let's move on with some.
There could always be some non-Star Wars stuff by Harvey.
You never know what you will find in Jeff's
right.
collection, especially tonight with a curveball specialist like myself.
Because it's going to be 100% Star Wars, and I won't have any idea. I'm going to be thrown for every single image.
No comment. I'll leave it there.
We'll find out.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Really quick. A bunch of comments came in. Lando. I had that 2-ton. Was it Matchbox? Any Star Wars? Well, you just got some Star Wars. Have a good night, Roberto. I think it was Mac going on eBay now. What? Maybe some Manix. I don't know about that. But if you want it, I got your fill right here. Make mine better, baby. Woo! All right. And we're not expecting Star Wars. Brilliant curveball. Isn't it though?
It's genius.
It's genius. Thank you. I'm a very stable genius, by the way, just so you know. Maybe. Okay. All right. So there we go. That wasn't a very authentic. Woo. Thanks. Okay. So next piece in tonight's
He might
show.
blow the microphone out if he did a good woo. So
yeah.
You got to tone it down a little.
Get it. Yeah, exactly. Keep it, in check.
That's right.
All right. Third piece in tonight's show and tell everybody is this one.
That's more Star Wars.
Oh my God, what's happening here, Jeff?
I don't know. I think someone broke into Ruben's house. Tom probably, created a virus when he sent you those slides for the quiz.
Yeah.
And just loaded the Star Wars pieces.
Loaded the Star Wars.
Yeah. So
I really like this one. I really love the inking.
Yeah. So when the license left Dark Horse and went back to Marvel, IDW did one of those little licensing tricks and said, you know what, the young adult novels are separate from the licensing for the standard line of novels. And so they applied for a license to do a young adult series of comics while Marvel was doing the main line of comics. And it got approved. And this, the Tales from Vader's Castle is kind of like the Star Wars. Well, I won't say it's the Star Wars version of Goosebumps because they did that with the Galaxy of Fear books. The young adult and kids books, but it's the same sort of thing where it's sort of the creepy, haunted aspects of the Star Wars universe, and so that's where this page comes from. Was one of the Tales from Vader's Castle stories, and you can see the hangar that these stormtroopers are going in, but there's this creature in that last panel that's getting ready to attack them. Right. This popped up right as I was starting to get back into OA collecting. And so I had to do some catch up myself on that licensing thing because I was like, where is this from? Because I couldn't find it with any of the Marvel books through the Marvel app. And finally, I figured out the whole thing with the YA titles and them coming out through IDW. That license has now changed again, and Dark Horse is back to doing Star Wars comics, but they're doing the YA thing. They got that license from IDW. Okay. Sometimes it's hard to figure out where stuff is coming from, especially like that last piece from Ruairi Coleman, where it was an overseas comic first. So one of the appeals for the hobby is, being able to do all this research to try to chase down where stuff is from. And about half this issue hit the dealer site at the time. And by the time I figured it out, most of the issue was gone. No, because I took a week or so to try to figure out what that story was. But luckily, this page was still there, and the combination of the hangar scene and then that close up of the troopers, and then the reveal of the monster starting to come out in that bottom panel, I thought was still nice. So
I love all the ink rendering. The rendering is beautiful. I love it. That's why I chose it. And by the way, so yeah, and the top panel on the right hand side, right behind the metal bars of the little stair balcony, whatever you want to call that thing, you see like a TIE fighter.
Yep.
Isn't that a little small? Would that not be kind of small for a TIE fighter in scale, or is it just me?
I guess it depends on how far away it is from that staircase. I mean, yeah.
Okay. And can you remind
me a little small looking at the size of the stormtroopers in the background in that panel?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Remind me, what do you call those things on the left side? The ones that used to walk beside the AT-ATs in the Star Wars?
So that is not your standard ATST. So the AT-AT is the big one. The one we see on film briefly in Empire, but then again in Jedi is the ATST, the all-terrain scout transport.
Oh, ATST is what they're short way
as opposed to the all-terrain armored transport. A lot of people nickname them Chicken Walker because of that weird way it walks on the two legs.
Yeah.
But that one's a slightly different one. That is kind of a hodgepodge mix of a smaller single occupant one that was used in the prequel series and the battle on Kashyyyk, and then became one of the Marvel toys. And so they're using some of the expanded universe stuff for reference, which there have been occasions where if you look close, and I'd have to dig through my stuff to look at the art, but every once in a while you'll look at something and you'll go, that Millennium Falcon was drawn based on the toy because there's the button that you push to make the sound effect.
Okay.
And they just drew it and then weren't even thinking about it. And so every once in a while you get stuff like that where you definitely can see they're using the toys for their reference models.
Right.
And so that's a slightly different one, but that is one of the little scout ones.
The AT-AT toy was impossible for me to find when it came out. I guess weren't these toys, the most of them, weren't they released for the Christmas season back in the 70s?
They always did a big Christmas drop. So 77, no one was ready for it to have been as big as it was. So they didn't get any of the toys done in time for the most part. So at Christmas of 77, there were some puzzles, there were some board games where they just kind of changed graphics. And then the infamous empty envelope was sold. And so parents could pay and get a certificate and a little cardboard envelope. That was a certificate that could be traded in for the first 12 Star Wars figures when they became available.
I remember that.
And so that way you could put something under the tree. But yeah, so by the time 78, 79, 80 roll around, especially after Empire Strikes Back comes out and all those great Hoth vehicles and stuff, there was always a big release in the old Montgomery Wards and Sears catalogs and stuff. When they'd send those Christmas catalogs off, there'd always be new stuff in those catalogs to look forward to.
I just wanted to say, because Tom mentions that he has pictures from 1978 getting Star Wars toys. I have one picture. I guess since you say they didn't come out yet for Christmas of 78, must be from 77. Oh, I'm sorry, 77, right. Must be from 78, but I've got a picture somewhere of me holding up my Chewie 12-inch, the 12-inch Chewie doll.
Right?
Yeah. So I do have some connection to Star Wars that goes back to the early days, Yeah. and had the cardboard playset. Yeah, telescoping lightsabers. It's like paying for a commission, hoping it eventually shows up now for us. Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. The big crapshoot, you know. Got an X-wing for Christmas. That's pretty sweet. The mini sets was a bust for the Star Wars toy line. Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
they had a set of miniatures, and it was metal figures. So they were in static poses. The micro collection, and it was a smaller scale than the 3.75 inch stuff. And it just never caught on. I think today it would sell like gangbusters. So because it came with, you know, chunks of Bespin, you know, Cloud City and all. So yeah, I think it was just an idea that was a little too ahead of its time.
Do you still have any of your childhood Star Wars toys, Jeff?
I've got all of it.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's all.
All of my original stuff from the 70s and 80s is here at the house. The stuff I collected with the later movies, or for the prequel movies, is all in a storage unit. And at some point, I need to figure out what to do with it and stop paying for the storage unit. But that's one that has been out of sight, out of mind for the last couple of years. That, there's everyone bought it and put it away, and there's plenty of it out there. So there's no real market for it. But
yeah. Hey man, sentiment, right?
Yeah.
All that matters is what it means to you, whatever you have, you know. Hey, what's up, Antoine? Lovely to see you again. Thanks for dropping in. Has Bon Jovi as a kid singing R2-D2, We Wish You Me? Okay, obviously you must be
We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Star Wars Christmas album. The producer for the album was John Bon Jovi's uncle.
Oh, was it?
And there's a choir thing, a choir backing Anthony Daniels and R2-D2 beeping on R2-D2, We Wish You a Merry Christmas. And John Bon Jovi's high school music class, his uncle drafted them to do the chorus part of the kids singing in the background. Oh. And John Bon Jovi had a solo in that song on that album.
Okay.
With other great hits like "What Do You Get a Wookiee for Christmas When He Already Has a Comb?" I mean, it was a concept album.
Yeah,
that maybe shouldn't have been a concept.
Yeah, they kept that concept in the concept stage, right. Maybe.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, let's check out the next piece, everybody. And for that, of course, you've figured me out by now. It's another Star Wars piece. Let's check this one out.
Holy cow. It is another Star Wars piece. Or it's not, but it is spacey. So I guess that counts. So this was one where eBay's suggested other items put me off in a different direction. And so Ben Chamberlain has been doing this series for I don't know how long now, years on the internet. It's a single panel strip, web strip that he does, Supermassive Black Hole A. And this came up as an eBay recommendation of another item that I might be interested in, or not this one particularly, but one of the ones I picked up. And so I started tracking his sales and then reading the web strip. And some of it's pretty simple. He does all the art himself. It's a combination of ink and watercolor most of the time. And he's got a sort of regular color palette that he uses that I just find pleasing. So, yeah, the A usually does come before the whole.
Yeah, I love that, as you know. I reached out to you privately to ask you a little bit about it, or maybe it was just in my public comment,
right?
And then you kind of reached out privately. You gave me a link to his website, and I spent a couple of hours there, clicking on the series. Every time you click, it just keeps going and going and going. It never
just keeps going. I mean,
And the thing is that because of how the site's built, you have no way of knowing how many pieces there are in total. You just have to keep pressing, and eventually you hope, hopefully it's going to come to an end at some point. But I was
right, because it is the original site architecture. I mean, he has not really updated it. And so it runs, you just keep clicking next and it just keeps going.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's very much, I love fashion illustration.
Right.
And that's what kind of got me, especially the girl on the right, but both of their expressions as well. So I wanted to show this as well, just so people get a better view. Just slapdash some quick lines with the brush and the ink, the pen, and like, I don't know, it's just beautiful. The hair, the face.
Yeah, and I've not seen a video of him working, but it strikes me that he takes an approach kind of like a Jim Mafood, where he just puts the pen on the paper and he just puts it out and then he throws the color on real quick. And, it calls it good. It doesn't come off as a very meticulous style. It's a very free and quick style to most of his work.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, a lot of fun. Really, really cool. I thought that was very exciting when I saw you post it. I was like, what? Like, it's like, again, you threw me a curveball that day,
right.
I was like, oh, like this I can really get into. Like, wow. And I was curious, like, what the hell is Jeff doing with this? Wow. So yeah, that was really neat to see. So
yeah, and it's a story that it's linear, but it kind of resets itself. And so it draws, some of them are kind of more futuristic looking in the way he draws some of the tech and the ships and stuff. Some of it is more sort of 50s golden era sci-fi rocket inspired. There's a period where it's sort of 40s fashion styling. So it's an interesting read. And so, I circle back to it every couple of months, and then I spend a couple of hours, reading from where I last stopped off. And so if you do...
Antoine is asking, where is this art being posted? It's not like a very simple URL that I could tell you. So unfortunately, I don't even remember what but it was just like a weird, one of those long, weird, crazy long named URLs is what I remember it.
But you can find him. He's got a gallery on Comic Art Fans.
So just look under Ben Chamberlain?
Yeah. So if you go to Ben Chamberlain's gallery, he's got a link to the site there.
Oh, look at that. Copy on the spot.
Copy with the admin rights once again.
Copy's awesome. Thanks, Copy. Yeah. There you go, Antoine.
Or if you do a supermassive black hole Google search, you'll find it and other wondrous things.
There you go.
That may or may not be safe for work.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right. You're welcome.
Yeah, or you can go to my gallery and look for Ben Chamberlain and the list of artists down at the bottom of the page, and that'll take you right to his pieces that I posted. And I think I put a link. Yeah, I think
that was your gallery he was linking to. Sorry about that, Antoine. But yeah, you have it listed in your.
Yeah, so I believe I put the link to the series in my description for the pieces.
In the description,
so,
yeah. Yep. Yeah, so check that out at his gallery, and you should be able to find it there. And look at that, Covey again. Look at that, Ben's direct.
There you go.
Comic Art Fans gallery, but I'm sure somewhere in there, there's probably a link to that.
At least it used to be in the little intro part.
Yeah,
that was the link to his series. So,
okay, all right, let's keep it moving.
Hey, it was not Star Wars.
Gotta keep throwing.
It's a left. It's a right. It's a left. It's a right.
You might have to bring in a pinch hitter, lefty. You don't know if I'm going to go righty, lefty. I'm ambidextrous, So, all right. Next piece that I show and tell everybody. Let's check this out.
Hey, Marcus will be happy because it's some Manix.
Yes, sir.
And Tom will be happy because it's a space archaeologist.
And you'll be happy because it's Dr. Aphra, who you love.
Right. So, I will say that part of the appeal for the character for me is the fact that she is a space archaeologist.
Yeah.
So why not pick her as a focus for my collecting? The there were a few artists as I got back into OA collecting. As I mentioned, I took about an 8-year hiatus. When I got back into it, at first I had seen some original Marvel pages in auction at Heritage because I was sitting at home during the pandemic with nothing to do. And I just went, holy crap, what has happened to the pricing while I've been gone for 8 years?
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the Star Wars stuff, just the market had matured while I was away. And so it took me a while to adjust, but that's when I was also trying to play catch up with reading some of the newer titles. And Dr. Aphra, I'd heard that there was this space archaeologist character, and I'm probably guessing you didn't pick this one, so I don't think I'll be spoiling anything going forward. I picked up a monoprint because her first appearance was in an issue that was done digitally. In fact, I picked up 2 monoprints because it was the first time I dealt with monoprints as well. And was not a fan of the monoprints. I mean, the art for me, it's a print, so it's flat. You don't get to see the blue pencil underneath or even the blue lines underneath. You just see the flatted inks as they were published without even any of the ink textures. So you can't see brush strokes or pen strokes or any of that because all the line weights are essentially standard in the digital stuff.
What are the dimensions approximately?
So this is 5 by 7. Not quite 5. It's one of the A formats, and I can't remember. It's one of the smaller A size. A3,
A5 is what
5. Yeah, something in that range.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get out of the sidetrack I just did.
That's quite all right.
And I think Thomas probably already knows what a monoprint is. Would be my guess.
Yes. Here, let me. I'm answering him. I'm answering him privately.
There you go.
Okay.
But anyway, so Manix is one of the artists with Next Comic Art out of the Philippines. Manix.
Thanks, Rick.
Was on a couple of. Oh, there you go. That's the one. Manix was on a couple of sales shows with Jiggy, the rep at Next Comic Art, Jiggy Cruz. And I didn't get Manix at first. I mean, when I saw his stuff the first time, it did not register. Oop, and the dogs are going bananas.
Murder is happening there.
Yeah, I think someone has
somebody
gone
came
through
to
our
the
front
front door.
gate. Yeah, exactly. But then I started reading some of Manix's published work from the Philippines because he did a newspaper strip for years, and a lot of it does not have any words.
Okay.
And so you don't have to worry about translating. And once I started to see his sequential stuff, and that it was from a cartooning perspective rather than a comic perspective, a comic book format perspective, it clicked. And from that point on, I've been a huge Manix fan. And so that piece was, I can't remember if that was OAX or San Diego. And they are still at the door.
Well, this time they rang. The first time they didn't ring. I think, right?
Well, the first time the dogs heard our front gate swing open is the thing.
That's it. Stacy available to open to answer the door?
Yeah, presumably. Unless she's
that's why they've gotten quiet now.
Yeah. So anyway, Manix was doing commissions, and I picked one up, and I was trying to think what character I wanted, and since Manix does not have a deep Star Wars history, I thought maybe a newer character, and I picked Dr. Aphra because I figured at that point I hadn't seen anyone else pick that character for Manix to do, so I was like, I'll be the first.
And you love it. You love her. You love her.
I do.
So
I do.
That's the important
And
thing.
that little contemplative painting he did of her sitting there, looking up at the two moons. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Or 3 moons even. Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah. 3 moons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Yeah. Excellent. Lovely. Okay. All right. Let's keep it rolling, everybody. Let us go from Manix to some more. What's next? Star Wars? No. Let me see.
Sergeant Rock.
Yeah. That I can promise you is not coming up right now.
It's a Billy Tucci page.
And it's definitely not a Billy Tucci page. I gotta tell you, because I'm such a Kubert fan,
right?
When I heard that was happening, I felt like it was sacrilege. I was just like, what? Out of all the artists you got in the industry that you could have had to do this series that Kubert's not going to do. No offense to Billy, I'm just all the people. Billy too. It's just such an odd choice. You have to admit, it was a bizarre choice.
It was a surprise choice, but I thought he nailed it. So
yeah. But okay, no, let's check out what the next piece is. Here we go, everyone. Check it out.
There is a Hembeck.
The former Manix,
right?
The man previously known as Hembeck, or now known as Hembeck, that the man that Manix is now succeeding, if you will.
We are blending with the Humanix, which happened at OX last year, where a couple of us got Hembeck cards modified with Manix editions.
That's right.
The Humanix. So back in the day, before he just limited himself to the sketch cards, you could email Fred and he'd do these 9x12 pieces. And he also would put the 9x12 pieces up in his eBay store just for auction. And this one popped up. E-Man had his origins with First Comics, and about the time I picked this piece up, my buddies Matt and Sean Philbach had left Dark Horse, where they were drawing the Clone Wars Digest comics, and went back to the third resurrection of First Comics. And so I was starting to reread some of the old First titles at that point, just kind of refreshing myself with some of the characters that they might be working on. And Fred put this E-Man and Nova Kane. That's such a great pun for her name. Piece up, and I just on a whim picked it up and added it to the collection. I have a 9x12 Star Wars piece that Fred did that's also up in my gallery. But since then, most of my focus has been on Fred cards. I think a lot of folks know that I've been getting those since 2011. And over the last few years, Fred's cards have taken off, which I'm very happy to see for Fred. And also for collectors, because I think they're just a little pocket-sized piece of joy. I mean, I love Fred's swirly knees. What can I say?
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's nice to have a bigger piece like this also in my collection to see.
Yeah,
Fred.
When you get used to buying all those sketch card size things, it's kind of like it's cool and fun, but like after a while, it's like, okay, can I just at least occasionally, once in a blue moon, see a regular sized one? Not something so tiny. So yeah, it's nice to, after having so many of the cards in your own collection, it's cool that you have one, regular size piece kind of thing. Yeah. So that's fun. Very cool. All right. So one comment. What's this? Will there be a Johnny Ryan for the trifecta? I don't know. What does that mean? It's going over my head.
I think that is another First Comics connection. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, you will tell me, I guess. At first I thought you meant Johnny Royale, and that's a little mention in one of the Beastie Boys songs. But Clearly not. Fred has many sizes, doesn't he? But Ruben has a 12-inch Wookiee. How would you know? All right, I mentioned it earlier. Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going, everyone.
One of my favorite Simpsons quotes is when Ralph Wiggums falls down and says, "I bent my Wookiee." Because he'd taken all of his Star Wars figurines to school for a show and tell. Yeah.
He was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah. So anytime I fall down, I usually try to utter that.
Yeah.
And it works in most situations.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So, yes, the next piece is coming, and that is this one. Check it out.
Ooh, hello, Barky McGee. Oh, yeah. So, Bob McLeod was one of the original Star Wars artists that I first started picking pages up from.
And apparently, is it trying to tell us that Greedo didn't shoot first?
That is not Greedo. That is another Rodian.
Oh, wow. You see what happens? You got to really be a Star Wars nut to tell the difference between these people, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes me sad. Sorry.
Right. And so the first handful of Star Wars pages I got all came from Bob. And it was off the first iteration of his website. And, you know, we always have those hindsight moments where we look back and go, what if I had done this thing or the other thing? He had the complete issue for Star Wars 84. I believe it's a Han Solo Chewbacca story. All 22 pages on the site. And it was $2,400 for the complete book. I mean, it was just over $100 a page.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I think the splash page was like $150 and everything else was $100 or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always think now that, you know, I should have just snapped that whole thing up. But, you know, back in the day, that was a lot of money.
For sure.
And one of the things with the Bob pages I did pick up was I wanted a lot of pages with a different assortment of aliens, because he ended up doing a lot of stories in the post Return of the Jedi era. The adaptation for Jedi ended up being a 4-issue standalone limited series, but it occurred between issues 80 and 81. And so this is in that post Return of the Jedi storyline. And he and Tom Palmer and all who were working on the books after that started throwing in all the aliens that they could muster. And so that was a part of my selecting, was trying to get different pages with different groups of aliens on them. So,
right on.
Yeah. And I always liked the look of Greedo. I mean, who doesn't like a good sucker mouth lizard kind of character?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you like the fact that it looks like Greedo, right?
Well, that it is a Rodian. There was a time when I was still buying Star Wars figures that me and my buddy Ed, who I then roomed with before I got married, we had a bachelor pad. We were buying every Greedo action figure we could find.
Why?
But
you just love it?
Well, and so what we were doing is we were making our own custom action figures and removing the sucker cup finger hands off of them and the heads, and then swapping heads and hands with other figures. So we did, you know, the Rodian Jedi and the Rodian Tusken Raider, and I did a one where I cut the face off the head and the hands, and then I carved Han Solo's face and hands off the carbonite block. So I did the Rodian Frozen in Carbonite, which actually that character on that page earlier, before Return of the Jedi got adapted, had been frozen in Carbonite. And Luke and Lando had chased after him thinking that it was Han Solo. But it turned out to be that Rodian character. And so, yeah. So, we just had this whole array of them up on a shelf in the kitchen, just all these different Rodian versions of various Star Wars characters. So,
an infatuation with the Rodians.
Yep,
that's cool. Tom, interestingly enough, Bob's still priced high, but Tyler bought an expensive page when we were at Bob's booth. I guess you're talking about OAX. When I saw pictures from people posting from there, and I don't know if it was Bob himself, maybe. I think it might have been Bob himself in his gallery. He ended up, people had told me the prices that his pages had sold for, and I was like, wow, that's like, it seems like a lot. But then I saw, I guess it was Bob posting a bunch of them in his calf gallery. And when I looked through them, there was quite a few of them sold. So $1,800, right? 14 to 18 on average, maybe a few that were slightly higher than that into the 20, 21, 22 range, a few that are slightly lower, but typically 14 to 18 is what I remember. And there were several that were sold. So again, every time we think that, oh yeah, these guys are crazy, and then you see it sell, you're like, okay, maybe I'm just not. It's so hard to keep up with the market, with the ever continuing.
Well, and now, with Tom Palmer's family selling the estate through Heritage,
right?
There has been a glut of Tom Palmer and Star Wars pages hitting the market,
right? And
those all were running 15 to 1800 in the first 4 months of those auctions happening, and there were 2-3 pieces every week in the Wednesday auctions. I think the flood has happened to where now the prices are dropping, partly because I couldn't keep up with buying pages every week.
Where did you see them going for like significantly less than
So the last 2 Wednesdays on Heritage. Some of the more common pages out of the Palmer run on Star Wars are going for 700 to 900. Where back in May when they were first hitting, they were going for 12, 15, 1800. There have been a few of the pages that Tom Palmer inked over Walt Simonson that have popped up, or over Gene Day. So a little more popular pages that are still doing the 3,000 to 5,000 on a page. There was a splash page that was a week or 2 ago that I think was close to 11. That was a Simonson splash that Tom Palmer inked. So,
is that the one where 2 characters are on a balcony? No. That's something else.
It was Leia and Chewbacca on these little flying scooter things going through a forest.
Yeah, whatever. Like I said, that's what happens, right? When these things sort of come out of estates, when there's a lot of art and they're being offered, on an every 7-day basis, it presents ultimately, if there's a lot of it, it presents an opportunity to just, if you're patient, let's say you can't even afford what they're going for at first, and you exercise patience, you eventually often get that opportunity where, because the people who have been buying them all typically tend to be a smaller group of individuals, right? And eventually they start spending all their cash, and they get to the point where they're like, okay, I can't keep sucking up every single page that appears every week.
Yeah, either fatigue or budget set in.
Or and then as soon as those guys start taking a week off here or there, whatever, boom, right? That's 1 or 2 people out of the bidding, drop. There you go. Start getting better prices. So excellent. A couple more comments. It's the one with the priest and a rabbi. Okay, you're joking. Maybe he is. I don't know. Content make a huge difference with Palmer in Star Wars. Yeah.
Well, Simonson in particular, most of his stuff he holds on to.
Yeah.
So it's only
the thing about Simonson though. It's like for me, if you're gonna buy one of those, it better be because you just remember loving the stories that he drew. Because if you're one of the types of collectors who are buying that because, I want to be able to say I love Star Wars and I love Walt Simonson, I want to get a Simonson, example of Star Wars. I feel like you're not really getting good art because it doesn't look a lot like Simonson because the Palmer inking is it's dominant, right? So yeah.
Well, Palmer definitely took an approach where he became sort of the unifying leveler for all the pencilers, and his dedication to making the ships reasonably accurate in relation to what they look like on screen and the character likenesses. He did some heavy-handed inking on some of those pencilers. Yeah.
I mean, in general, he is a heavy-handed inker. Yeah. It's beautiful on most people, but on people with very distinct styles of their own, it just buries them, and you only see palm style, Yeah. So that's the sad thing, But whatever. So be it. You're. That's what I'm saying. If you want Simonson, it better be simply because you love Star Wars and you also were a fan of probably, I guess, Thor, Simonson's Thor, and okay, you want to get one of that. But you end up paying a premium because of his name, even though it doesn't really look like his work. So not the smartest sort of type of purchasing technique if you are somebody who is buying because you want an example of the artist's work.
Right. If you're looking to buy Walt, you should look other than Star Wars.
Yeah, Thor, X Factor, Fantastic Four, whatever, or earlier Manhunter, whatever the case may be, But
I will at some point get a Walt Star Wars. That's still on the.
You go. It's on the
out there on the radar.
There you go. Yeah. And even Cobby, he basically was saying what we were saying, the fact that he was bidding for a while and got a few examples, right? And got to slow down now, So that's it. All right, let us keep it moving. And from there, let me see. Hold on. Let me put this back up. Okay, let's go to the next one, and that is this one.
Yeah, this is Emma Kubert, someone that
third generation Kubert. Third generation
That's
Kubert.
Right.
Yeah.
So she did blue lines on this. Roberto Poggi did the traditional inks over her blue lines. I would like to get an original piece of Emma's work at some point. She's got a style that reminds me of a few of the other folks that I got to know that did more of this style for Dark Horse back in the day when I was exhibiting. And we used to have a booth in San Diego, and we'd made friends with a bunch of the artists. So they'd have their artist alley table or whatever, but then we'd also be selling their stuff over in our booth. So they'd have point of sales in 2 different locations. And then we'd rotate them through for like an hour or two so that we could put out the announcement, special signing at our booth from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Or we also were friends with Brian and Christy Miller, the colorist for Hi-Fi Color, who did work for Marvel and DC and everybody. Still do, actually. So they'd always do a panel in San Diego on how to color comics. And then Brian and Christy had put together a book that would take you through Photoshop on different platforms on how to do your own digital coloring. And so they'd be able to say, hey, after the panel, if you want a copy of the book, head down to this booth. And we'd have a stack of them ready to sell. Right. So for whatever reason, Emma's work kind of reminded me of some of the stuff that Katie Cook had done, or my friend Val Hochberg, who's now Val Brazier. And this New Mutant story dropped, and it was an anniversary issue, so there were 3 or 4 stories, small stories within it. It was a double-sized issue or something.
Right.
And I managed to pick up several pages from this story arc.
Yeah. So you had a few cool ones. I was like, okay, I got to pick one, and I just I like the faces here. Like, it's all about the expressions for me,
Yeah, and as anyone who has watched some of your cell shows know, the X books, since I did collect them, and I generally devote most of my budget to Star Wars stuff, I don't have a lot of budget to devote towards X art. But when certain pages pop up that remind me of reading those books, like Pickles the Banff character, that I picked up from several from your sales shows. It hits the nostalgia button, but it is a affordable modern piece. Yeah. And so I always enjoyed Warlock, reading the New Mutants. And so since this was a Warlock a story, or it was the two of them throughout, that kind of hit that nostalgia button also. So that was
perfectly said, Jeff, because I always tell people, when the argument comes up about how the people who are primarily vintage art collectors, when they say like, oh, I don't get it, like the people that buy the new stuff, the modern stuff, it's so expensive, like, and there's no, it's brand new, there's no vintage to it, whatever, and you don't have nostalgia to it. And I go, the first two things they say are true.
Yeah.
The third one is not true. And I'd like to always mention the fact that nostalgia isn't solely defined by the specific memories that you had about a specific issue and page, right? You can look at this brand new art that Emma drew, and like Zeus said, you remember Warlock from back in the days, right, 40 years ago. It reminds you of that. And so it does provide you nostalgia because it sparks memories,
right?
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's why I say all the time, it doesn't have to be, again, it could be any random character, any random title. Tom McDonald, you appreciate this. A Green Lantern, as an example, right? If I was a big time Green Lantern fan, as Tom is, and I am a fan actually. But he was one of my favorites when I was a kid growing up. And then I look at the modern day Green Lantern books, and I'm like, oh wow, the new artist on the Green Lantern books, it's awesome. I love it. Just looking at images of the Green Lantern in the costume that I remember from way back, right? It's providing nostalgia. It's right. Still nostalgia. That's the thing that those guys don't get. So that's why people still will still buy new stuff, But yeah, so very cool, very cool. Really love Emma doing her thing, and I love especially the fact that she has a style that is not emulating, her dad and her uncle and grandfather. It
is very much her own
thing right off the bat. Yeah, really cool. So, just a few more comments. Let me see. What's up, Eric? Oh no, I'm missing an episode with the Jeff Wedding. You knew
I didn't realize I was the equivalent of Ohio State, but hey.
What do you mean?
Well, the intros on the football games is always right. The Ohio State.
Yeah. The obnoxious Ohioan among you. The Ohio State. Shut up.
Right.
Yeah. Can't stand that shit. Not all of it expensive per se, but there's great modern art out there. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of stuff. If you look, again, we always say this on my channel, right? If you broaden your horizons enough, you have enough of an interest in different characters, titles, publishers, there is still a lot of stuff you can collect that are, affordable, relatively affordable.
And not all of it is going to register with you the same way. I mean, different writers are going to have different approaches, and the character's not going to behave or feel like you remember, but then there are instances where they do, and that's the ones that you can take advantage of. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
exactly. Character nostalgia, some guys don't get that. No, it's just that some of the vintage collectors don't get that you can still feel feelings of nostalgia by looking at and buying modern contemporary art. That's the thing. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. And by the way, Carl and everybody else, there was a time when I also, like early in my collecting, I was a vintage guy, only wanting the stuff from my youth. And I also used to say, man, I really like a lot of the artwork in the modern comics, right? The current comics. But like, I can't see myself putting the money out because it's primarily for me, it was the fact that it felt like it was priced high, given that there's no vintage. So for me, it wasn't the nostalgia factor. I still felt I got the nostalgia factor, but I felt like, the vintage thing is I feel like back in those days, I was like, I still get more value because this one's automatically 25 years old. This one is 25 days old. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the price is almost comparable. So That's it. But, over time, like we always say, you sort of expand your horizons, you veer off in different directions, you grow different appreciations for different things. And eventually started buying newer stuff too. So,
yeah. And I think in some cases, it depends on if it is a new artist, you end up making a connection with the artist. And so, when I see Manix or I see Harvey or some of those guys, I want to support those guys. So I will pay more for their art,
right,
as a means of supporting them. Because I love Harvey's Star Wars stuff, and I want to see Harvey keep doing Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
So again, as you broaden your horizons, your perspectives change, and then the math changes. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Marcus, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't really get that. I only feel good if a dealer makes middleman money. I don't know. What do you mean by that exactly? Can you clarify? And Wes says, eventually art that is 25 days old becomes 25 years. Yeah, very true. Another great point, Wes, the fact that you think about it, right? And nobody thinks about this. But when you think about it, you think like all the stuff that we loved and when we were in our youth, whether it was the stuff we were buying brand new as kids, or maybe it was stuff that was like back issues already, whatever. But like some of the most popular stuff ever, right? The John Byrne Claremont X-Men run, let's say, I mean, there was once upon a time, that was an ongoing series. It was just the monthly X-Men book, right?
Right.
Which was popular. It was gaining popularity as a monthly title because the stories were good. The art was good. But yeah, you were buying the stuff from Byrne for $25, $50 a page or whatever, and then eventually it did become 10 years old, 15, 20, 25, right? And from $25, $50, $100,000, $250,000.
Well, and the new stuff today is being born in OA collecting as an industry, as opposed to that Byrne stuff where that was all production material. And if you could get $10, because I've got $10 John Romita Star Wars Ewoks pages that are penciled on the back, $10 was the original price on it that I paid a bit more than $10 for. I mean, but the stuff now is being produced in an era where they recognize art is a thing. And so it's going to have an effect on pricing.
Absolutely.
It has to. Yeah.
Absolutely. Marcus is like making a really bad accusation. I'm not sure why. Ruben would rather see the markup go to a dealer instead of the original artist. I don't have any qualms whatsoever on the fact that I've sold art throughout my life. For me, it was always it was something that I just wanted to do because my focus was I wanted to do something that I loved for a living. And what better way to do it than incorporate a hobby, right? I don't see that as any different than opening up a comic shop because you were a comic book fan. Yeah, but I don't know why you're bringing that up. I don't know what you mean. I don't know if you're referring to something specific that happened or if you're just trying to razz me. I don't know, but I feel like there's something in particular that you're getting at, and I can't figure it out. But in reality, I have no problem with deal. And I've said this before. Without people becoming dealers, there's really no hobby. Markets get created because there are market makers that get involved and decide to get into it and make a market for the item that's being sold. So yeah, I stand by that for sure. So I got no problem with dealers. I mean, I got a problem with the ones that, whatever, like are really chintzy and, wheeling and dealing, or the ones that like way overpriced, whatever. Obviously, everybody, has a problem. In general, I have no problem with the fact that people will make a profit when they sell artwork. But listen, Marcus, those two Infinite Crisis pages with Superboy and Superboy Prime that you haven't been able to price for me, feel free to give them to me at your cost. Just so, you I don't want you to feel bad that you profited on me, I wouldn't want you to feel guilty that way. So just let me know what your cost was. And I'll send you a check for sure, or PayPal, whatever you want, no problem. Overheard in Roma, 1588. I don't know about Da Vinci guy. I like the classic artists better. Da Vinci is too new to the market to command such prices. That's probably true. People were probably saying that too. You know, that's so funny. Yeah, he probably is, Kavi, but you never know with him. He's you know, he's a shifty one. He's a shifty one. The Ohio State is mainly an internal fight with Ohio University, right? Like there, it's like that's I always joke about that, Hydra. Like is there like another university right across the street that it's like Ohio University, and so you know Ohio State University people have to start saying no, we're the Ohio State. They're just Ohio. I don't know. It just still seems stupid and childish, you know. And especially as a Michigan fan and big rivals, yeah, it burns me even more. Like, it's just ridiculous. Whatever.
It's an extra layer of rub.
Yes. Marketeer greater than Rocketeer. You overpaid? I don't know what overpaid is, though. I don't even know. I don't know what they were selling for at the time. I wasn't paying attention to that stuff. And when that came out, I was still kind of looking at, you know, more vintagey type stuff. So, yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Let us continue, everybody. And let me see, where were we? Oh yeah, Emma Kubert. Oh yeah. Oh, I love this one. Check this one out, guys. Really, really love this one. Check it out.
So Scott tends to sell a lot of pre-done pieces off his eBay store. And Scott's got a background in comics. And also other, you know, sort of advertising art and stuff. Excuse me.
No problem at all. Take a sip of your drink. Yeah. And I'm just curious. I believe I know the answer, but I'm not 100% positive, Jeff.
Yeah.
Is there any relation between Farrell and Scott?
I believe there is.
Oh, really?
But I don't know if they're brothers, cousins. Yeah, but I believe there is a connection there.
Oh, okay. Hey, what's up, Mickey? Yeah, that is really good. It's beautiful. Oh, love it. I love the technique.
A lot of Scott's stuff is sort of geared towards pinup style that you know expect to see, you know, in an artist alley somewhere at a show. I think Scott early on found out he could do pretty good with his eBay store and cut out the travel going to cons and stuff. And so I've picked up a few pieces from him over the years, mostly Star Wars. But I did get a Rogue at one point. Again, the X nostalgia. And his prices, I think, for the level of effort he puts in them are actually a pretty good bargain. Especially when he does some of these pieces where it's more base marker with some paint added to it, as opposed to just a lot of his marker work, which is what he does on a lot of his pinup style pieces. So this Boba Fett in particular caught my attention when it came up. So, yes, but this was not a specific commission from me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was just one he posted up on his eBay store.
Right. Antoine mentions that this guy does Linsner style cheesecake. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't render quite to the same level that Joe does. And Joe is another one that someday I still need to get a piece, because he used to have the corner booth across from us every year in San Diego. And so we always end up chit-chatting with him. And he was longtime friends with those brothers I mentioned, Matt and Sean Philbach. And so it was always good to see Joe in San Diego every year. And I'd actually talked to him about getting a Princess Leia done one year, and it just didn't work out. And by the end of the show, I just said, well, I'll either email you or catch you next year, and just never circled back to it. So it's still hanging out there. At some point, we need to get that one done.
Yeah. Well, beautiful stuff anyways. Even though you didn't get it commissioned yourself, who cares? That's the beauty about other people's commissions. They're already made, so you already know that you love them or you don't, and there's no risk, right? The risk is taken out of the equation, which that's the one thing I do love.
And this one wasn't someone else's commission. This is just a pre-done piece.
Oh, just a pre-done? Yeah. Something that you did on spec, yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, excellent.
Oh,
Well,
Gus Lopez, the big Star Wars collector. He's the one that found the original Death Star model. It was hanging as a disco ball in a roller rink.
oh,
I believe in Seattle.
okay,
And yeah, he's got it in his living room now.
okay.
They just made an announcement a couple weeks ago. 4 or 5 of the biggest Star Wars collectors in the country are getting together to launch the what will be the Star Wars Museum.
Oh, okay.
And it'll just be all Star Wars stuff because Lucas is opening his art museum, which will have a Star Wars component, but it is going to be a lot of art out of his collection, both related to his films and just art in general he's collected.
Okay.
But this group of collectors now wants to do sort of just the pop culture aspect with the toys and everything else that I think they're trying to call the Saga Museum. So it'll be about all the films and everything.
Okay.
That they're looking to start the process, and they're kind of eyeballing San Francisco at the moment for where they're going to try to house it. So
it's always somewhere in Cali.
Yeah. Well, and Steve Sansweet is one of the big collectors from Rancho Obi-Wan. He got a 10,000 square foot barn that he renovated in order to hold his collection.
Oh.
I mean, his is probably the biggest that I'm aware of. But he and Gus and a couple of them just decided it was time, because there's a certain point where you've got a big collection, and then you got to figure out where is it going when I'm done with it. You know, because we're not going to be around forever, even if our renovated barn full of stuff is. So I think this is the point where they're looking at the legacy aspect of, we managed to acquire all this stuff, and we managed to save all this stuff. And like the Death Star model, we managed to rescue this stuff. So where do we put it so that it stays secure for future generations? And it'll be exciting to see if they can get it to come up off the ground. So
all right, thank you so much for all the chat and all the info and the interesting knowledge that you, Jeff, and all of you guys in the chat have dropped. That's really cool. All right, let's keep it rolling. And from Boba Fett, we jump over to, I don't know what we have. What is this? Let's check it out. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is a Sergeant Rock page. That is not a Billy Tucci Sergeant Rock page.
It's just not a Billy Tucci. And I love it. I've been on a Dan Spiegle kick over the last few months. Like, you know, I ever since I picked up the Shadow page by Dan Spiegle from Heart, you know, when we did his, two sales shows on one weekend. And it just by coincidence happened to be that over the next few weeks, I don't know, over the next 2 or 3 show and tells that I did after that, the collectors seemed to all have at least one Spiegle page. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me show Spiegle. Why not? You know?
Why not? Well, and this annual in particular was one where it was like all the guest stars. So Sergeant Rock is on this mission, and along the way, all of the other DC war heroes he ends up bumping into. So Johnny Cloud, he hitches the ride from. He bumps into Mademoiselle Marie for some info. And at some point, he's with the crew of the haunted tank. And so this was one of those where, for a reasonably priced page, not only did I get Sergeant Rock, but also some of these other characters that I remember from all those different titles that I was reading with my dad when I was a kid. So this one hit high on the nostalgia factor for that reason. And yeah, I as I often say, and most people recognize, although I'm an exemption at the moment, almost all of my T-shirts, which is my normal daily wear, either have Star Wars or airplanes on them. I am actually wearing a brewery T-shirt, which is unusual for me at the moment. But so yeah, this one featuring that P-51 Mustang in 4 of the panels. Yeah, it was a no-brainer when I was flipping through and saw this one and knew that this was going to be one to fill that Sergeant Rock slot from the childhood nostalgia portfolio. So
it's really
If I could have gotten a Kubert with all these folks on it for the same price, I certainly would have. But yeah, this one was budget friendly and had all the stuff I was looking for. So
yeah, so very, very nice. Very, very lovely for sure. Absolutely. Very happy to show this one for sure. I just wanted to go back because I made a little note of this just to go back. Sorry, 10 minutes ago, Marcus, about that little weird comment. So he says, I know people who rather pay the same amount to a dealer than pay the same amount to the artist. Okay, but you're being very cryptic. Yeah, so that's what you accuse me of doing, that I would rather pay it to the dealer than to the artist. That's not the case. It's more a question of I put my money wherever the art comes from. So I'm buying because I want to buy art that I want to own. So therefore, if you're buying art you want to own, you have to go where the art is, right? I mean, that's what most people do, by the way, Marcus. It's not like you're making it look like I'm some, lone wolf out there buying from dealers. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Whoever has the art you want, that's where you get it, right? So, I mean, no offense to the artists, but I'm not in the hobby so that, because I love artists and illustrators and the work that they do, that I somehow have some kind of altruistic belief that I owe them some sort of living where I got to be responsible for continuously buying art. They're only from artists so that they can benefit from the price. Like if they don't have anything I want, why would I do that, right? Anyway, so there you go. But I do sometimes buy from the artists. I mean, most artists have reps, though. So technically, I don't know. Do you count that, Marcus? Do you count the rep as the middleman? Yeah, most of them that have reps, they won't even really sell to you. They're like, they're faithful enough to say, no, go contact my rep or whatever, which is the right thing to do, honestly. Yeah, I bet Jeff remembers the movie Empire of the Sun. That's what you said last time. Wasn't it last week, Tom, that you said that same thing?
Did that movie come up both times?
What do you mean both times?
Last week also?
Oh.
So I haven't watched last week's episode yet because I was traveling. So did he mention Empire of the Sun last week?
Oh, you mean there's a show called Empire of the Sun?
It's a movie. It's a World War II movie.
Oh, no, you're talking about the 80s movie.
Yeah.
Right, I know
or
that.
Early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying...
But that movie has a scene that... And a recurring thing with the kid about the P-51 Mustang. So because of the P-51 on that page,
right,
tied to that movie. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Antoine says buying from a dealer can still help the artist in that it shows the dealer that a particular artist's work can move. Yeah, especially if it's a rep. I mean, right? They're tasked with making a market for that artist's work and finding a customer base for them. It's all on an air base during W2. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's keep it rolling. And from, let me see. So what was it that I just showed? Yes, the Sergeant Rock. Oh, we go to this.
Sergeant Rock.
Yes. Now we go to cinematic. I look at this next one, guys, and I feel like I'm watching in the theater on like one screen and then another screen. I love this one. Check it out. The top two panels. I love the widescreen top two panels with the new version and the old version, if I could say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this particular story, Kylo Ren, who is from the sequel movies, the more recent movies,
right,
is going to this planet that his grandfather, Darth Vader, had gone to, and is encountering a similar scenario. And so the buildup as to whether or not he can achieve what his grandfather didn't. But during the whole initial setup of the story, it is alternating panel to panel with a lot of comparisons of this is how the thing played out when Darth Vader did it, and this is how Kylo Ren is very much following in his grandfather's footsteps. and is going through the same experience, and that, maybe the helmet design has changed, maybe the ships have changed, but it's still their presence out in front of this giant army. So, yeah,
super cool. This
was a nice double-page spread. So
yeah, like Eric had said, the widescreen makes it feel epic. It really is. It's like, wow, look how expansive, these armies are rolling in. And it's like, ooh, boy. It's like, you look at that, you come up to that, and you're like, oh, shit. You got to turn around and turn tail and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, there was some good decision-making on the art team for the layouts on this issue.
Leonard, Kirk, and Hamscher on inks. Yeah, very cool.
And this is 2 boards. Yeah, this is 2 boards.
Yeah, 2 boards. Taped together.
Yep.
The traditional way, Antoine. Mark says, I gave up on Marvel Star Wars a few issues after Return of the Jedi. The Ewoks ruined the saga for me. No, you don't say. Interesting. I wonder who else hates the Ewoks. Yes. I'm not a huge follower of Star Wars. That's the difference between the what's the difference between the troopers? That's what I had asked. That's what I asked Jeff myself actually recently. So between the troopers in the top panel and the ones in the panel 2, are they different ranks?
Yeah. So it's not ranks. It's just the evolution of the armor over time. So this is 2-3 generations of stormtroopers later. Just like we see evolutions in military hardware in our own times, they're showing the same thing through the changes in the helmets on the stormtroopers. And then there has been sort of a tradition in the movies, like with most military gear, sometimes the designs change based on function if you're in a different environment. And so we see the scout troopers riding the speeder bikes in Return of the Jedi. They've got a very streamlined, narrow helmet so that they look a little more streamlined for their fast little speeder bikes. The Hoth troopers had a more enclosed helmet with the little neck protectors that hung down because they were in the cold weather environment. So sometimes you get armor that's specific to the situation in the environment being portrayed, and then sometimes it's sort of the standard stuff is just evolving, because gear has a function, but also in some sense a style as you go through time. So,
well, there you go. You can't get a better explanation than that, Antoine. I hope you like that. That's pretty awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Always love the knowledge drop. And 100 years earlier, they wore leather helmets without face masks. Nice. And there was
wore the old Dawn Post Halloween masks. That's all they wore.
Dawn Post? What's that?
Oh, that's all those Star Wars costume masks from the 70s and 80s. Oh. You get the Halloween costume that you have the little nylon outfit to put on, and then you just have that face covering mask.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then they did some nicer versions of the helmets later, but they did a lot of those quick and easy costumes back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We didn't get full Jedi, robes and stuff like the kids today get.
Yeah.
A little bit jealous.
Yeah.
But I had a foam pool noodle, not a lightsaber.
Ruben only got Ben Cooper costumes.
Who's Ben Cooper? Ben Cooper was the other one. Yeah.
No, you know what? Sadly, my folks didn't have much money, so I only got I don't even know what you call them, but the cheapest masks. The one that was just a formed plastic mask.
Yep.
That had a thin, stretchy string on that you just put in front of your face. 99 cents.
That's the Ben Cooper masks. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So you're right. You're right. You're right, Marcus. That's all I had. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's crazy. I remember back in the 80s, this is what we're talking about here. Back in the early 80s, because I stopped my last Halloween was in 83. And I remember going to Zellers and other little stores like that and going into the Halloween section. And you know, those cool rubber masks, right? Like you got my type of mask for like 69 cents.
Right.
And then they have those pullover, furry, the whole, you know, thingamajig. Those things I seem to recall back in those days. The more elaborate ones were as high as like $60 here in Canada. I mean, Canadian money. So maybe in the US, maybe they must have been still probably $40 or something. You know, like I was like, holy crap. When I think back on it, that's ridiculous. Like today, I'd be like, I got to pay $60 for a rubber mask I'm going to use once. Like, that's great. You know what I mean? It still seems too much, you know? Now imagine back then, it must have been like the equivalent of like hundreds today. You know, that's weird. But yeah, no. So there you go. And rubber band and staple. That's correct. Yeah, exactly. Yep. I had Kooky Spooks inflatable head. I don't know what that is. Kooky Spooks.
I think they did a whole line of inflatable costumes. So it'd be, you know, the character head shape that you'd blow up.
CJ knows what it is. He says, funny, Marcus, those were whacked.
He definitely remembers.
I guess it was kind of regional because I know CJ wasn't on the West Coast, so certain states must have gotten them. Okay, let us keep it rolling, everybody. From that awesome widescreen Star Wars page to this next one, which is this. Last Planet Standing, number 4, page 21, by Pat Olliffe and Scott Koblish from 2006. Can't believe it's already almost 2 decades old. Wow.
Yeah, it's funny how fast time flies sometimes.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I had my druthers, I would get a Ron Friends era Spider Girl, but that hasn't presented itself to me. But this was another, you know, it hit the nostalgia button for a character that I remember reading back when I was reading the other comics, but in a more recent publication at a price-friendly point. So, and it's a good action scene with the Lady Captain America there, with the team getting ready to go into battle, right? The half splash on the bottom. So, yeah,
it's really neat. And I really love the Spider Woman figure. Spider Girl. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed Pat Olliffe's work for the most part throughout his career. I think he didn't, you know, nobody ever seemed to give him much credit. Nobody talks about him. Just a very solid sort of what I look at as a kind of 1980s era style guy, like a Ron Friends. In fact, he followed Ron Friends on the Spider Girl books, right? And he had a kind of like a, you know, very similar approach to penciling, and often also, I believe, worked, if I'm not mistaken, with Sal Buscema on inks, as Friends used to as well. So I like it.
Yeah, you know? I had a stack of Pat pages off of a Peter Parker series that originally ran as one of the first Marvel web comics when they started doing online content. That then came out as a 4 or 6 issue limited series afterwards. And they were all pages that had like Peter in high school or whatever. And there weren't any costume pages, but I picked them all up really cheap back when I was exhibiting, like $15-20 a page or something. Because Pat was unloading them because he's like, no one, you know, it doesn't get it wasn't getting the attention that the published stuff was, since it was one of the early online web comics. And I had those for quite a long time, and I ended up trading those off in a deal with Mr. Barucci for a Star Wars page. And so this also filled a hole where I once had a Pat page. I once again do, and with the bonus of Spider-Girl in costume. So
yeah, and like Ricky said, this was a great series to get affordable Marvel art with a lot of major heroes, you know?
Yeah.
A good cheap way to do that. So yeah, very cool. All right, let's keep this show rolling. Next piece is, the rope skipper, The rope jumper. Skipping rope. I love this one. Look at that.
Ooh, it's
He's
a double
skipping-
Manix.
He's
It's a
skipping
Manix
rope.
twin spin.
Yes, and I wanted it because I've always seen it as it looks like he's skipping rope with the, playing like rope skipping with the stormtroopers. I love it.
That's right. I wonder what skipping song they are singing. I know there's all those different
Yeah, I forget them. I know,
Yeah.
I know.
double Dutch songs and whatever. Yeah, to keep rhythm. Manix was doing a series of tarot cards. And these, again, I believe are all that A5 size, or at least my pieces. And Darth Vader was the devil card. Is it the Prince of Swords or the Knight of Swords? I don't know my tarot very well, but Luke Skywalker was another character in the series, and he did a combination of Marvel characters. I think there were some DC characters, so it was sort of pan pop culture. And I think he actually ended up printing up a deck of the cards at some point, if memory serves right. But this was one of the first pieces that I ended up picking up from Manix. Once, as I said, I became more familiar with his work, and it clicked with me. This is the one I finally jumped on to get the Manix collection going. So,
Very cool.
Since it was that A5 size, I've pretty much stuck with that. Just because it all presents, being similar in size, it all presents well together. But some of the new 11 by 17 cover recreations he's doing, as most of us always say, that the colors never get captured well on the scans because he uses, light reflective paint and stuff that never gets captured right. And so some of those 11 by 17 pieces I've gotten to see in person, and they're just spectacular.
Yeah.
But we all have to make the budget decisions.
Yeah.
And so that A5 size is working for me quite well.
Carl Choi, I don't know if Carly, if you're still in the audience, he ended up getting the 4-piece full size thingamajig. Like, holy shit, dude, that's like what?
And I think he just got an 11 by 17 New Mutants recreation at NYCC this weekend. I think I saw that photo over on Facebook. So,
wow,
yeah, Carl's got the Manix bug for sure, and
Apparently.
I approve because I love seeing the stuff that he's commissioning. I mean,
there you go. He's got the Manix wallet apparently too. There you go.
Keep it up, Carl, because we're all enjoying everything we're saying. We're all living vicariously.
That's right. All right, let's keep it rolling. Do you credit anyone with showing you Manix's brilliance?
Manix. I mean, it took me reading his cartoon strip to realize what his approach was. And so it is a very simple, very refined, or very simplified, but also refined approach, because it's sort of like Fred Hembeck. He's got a simplified character style, but the way he uses it in his storytelling, because it was the sequential storytelling. And if you want to look at some of Manix's stuff that's been printed here in the U.S., they've done some trade paperbacks for his stories 12 and 14. It's just the number 12 and the number 14. And there's a few words in Filipino, Tagalog, in there, but it's Google Translate helped me in those few instances where I needed to figure out what was going on. But most of it is silent. There's no wordage, and it's just the art. And so I was reading those and just looking at more of his stuff online that it finally clicked with me. And
Good.
Yeah, and that's when I jumped on board the Manix train.
There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Moving on, folks. We go to number 14 in tonight's show and tell of 20 pieces. And that one is this one.
Only number 14.
You
We'll skip.
You gotta talk less. You gotta talk less.
We'll just skip this one. No, so this, I was talking about Warlock and that I read New Mutants back in the day, but those pages are not always within my budget. This one was, and I think part of the reason was this is a penciled page, and it was a story that was originally done as an inventory story. And for those who aren't familiar with all the terms, an inventory is sometimes a story that they don't immediately have. It's usually a one-shot story. It's self-contained. And so they'll be doing a 3 or 4 issue story arc. And then if they're switching art teams or they want to give an art team a break, then they'll add in one of these inventory stories. So they'll do them in advance and they'll just stick them in the filing cabinet and hold them until they need a fill-in issue. And this one had been done several years before it got published. And the character arcs that it referenced at the beginning and ending of the story no longer made sense with where the New Mutants had gone since this one had gone into inventory. And so they brought in another artist to draw 3 new I think it was 3 new intro pages and 3 or 4 end pages to change the beginning and ending of the story so it is set in the current New Mutants continuity, and then Magma tells this flashback story, which is how they can then use this older inventory one, and then they do another couple pages at the end to then tie it back to current continuity as she's having the flashback. And so this page, they re-inked the bottom half of it and changed the artwork to tie it back into current events because they're standing in a hospital while her and Hercules are having this discussion. And so she then is standing with another character doing the flashback of that time she got to meet Hercules. And so for whatever reason, maybe because it wasn't as published or folks just didn't think that the pencils alone looked all that great, or because it had been altered, it flew under the radar. I can't remember if this was a Heritage or a Comic Link auction off the top of my head, but I picked it up for a real reasonable price. So I got to get the vintage New Mutants nostalgia feels. Even though the final one, the final version got re-inked when it went to the publisher. So,
yeah, that's beautiful, and it's a beautiful page. Beautiful pencils by again a guy who came into the industry for a cup of coffee, took off. Nobody ever learned anything about him. Nobody knows anything about him, but at least that I've ever asked. Which is he's kind of a big mystery, which is a shame.
What was it? 2.5 years, maybe?
I don't remember
the handful of issues that.
Yeah,
for.
It wasn't long. I just remember that, and he did. I don't know. He did some fill-in issue on some other title, which I no longer remember. New Mutants, maybe. I don't know, some other thing from Marvel. But yeah, I remember thinking, oh yeah, this guy in Daredevils, it's pretty good. I like him. Yeah, and before you knew it, he was gone, and you never heard from him again. So. I can only
if they got drafted to the NBA, then maybe. As Marcus.
I assume not. I assume that he probably came from an already, artistic, professional
field, advertising or something.
Exactly. Something that realized this doesn't pay enough. It's too much work for the pay. Let me just go back to that.
You always hear the stories, and it's always interesting to see who goes which direction. Are you coming from commercial art and you went into commercial art until you could break into comics, or did you go into comics so that you could get commercial artwork?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you left comics behind eventually. And it seems like different people have different mindsets on how that works.
Yeah.
My experience has always been that anyone who gets into sketch cards is only looking to do sketch cards.
Right.
Because that rarely tends to lead the comics work,
exactly.
with a few exceptions. But
exactly, but it's also kind of a dead end in the sense that for them, because having seen a lot of the people that do sketch cards, a lot of these people are awful. No offense to anybody who owns them, but a lot of them, that's just the facts. Those are the facts, man. I mean, I've seen so many sketch cards that I'm like, oh my God, it's so amateurish. I'm like, do these
you're not paying the bills really with what they're offering for the pricing on sketch cards.
You know what I saw online? I saw an article once saying a post by somebody who is doing sketch cards, right? Some nobody, right? Some no-name person or whatever.
Right.
He's like, yeah, oh my God, like all they pay me, all they offer is $2 a card. I'm like, $2? What are you, like, living in like the middle of China, like in the middle, like, right, slave labor, like children?
$2 would actually probably be pretty good for a card set.
And you know what the guy said too? You know what the guy said
most of the folks that I know who, because sometimes they'd have to do, in between jobs, they'd end up doing it, and they'd be doing $1.25, $1.50 a card.
What?
Yeah. So, but then the thing is that they would hope they'd get the return cards, and then they'd jazz them up, and then do those for a few $100s for the people that are big on collecting the cards. But then that's just more effort.
Marcus says they get paid for like $1.50 each. So you guys are aware of how bad it is. Like, it's literal slave wages. And listen, even as bad, and I mean garbage, as some of these that I've seen are, as amateurishly crappy as they are, like, you still, like, your time should still be worth $5. Like, not $1.50. Like, what? $2, $1.50? And you know what the guy said in the post? He's like, because somebody had said to him, well, why? I don't get it. How they get away with that? And he said, well, their way of thinking of it is you only get $2, and he was getting $2 apparently,
right?
Not $1.50. You get $2, but they sell us on the fact that, but then you got the original art you can sell. I'm like, yeah, but these cheap, amateurish, crappy ones, you can't be possibly selling it for more than $5, the original. Right? So who cares? So you're wasting, I don't know, how long did it take you to do it? Probably still took you half an hour. So you can get $7. Like, I just don't understand that. Like, wow, man. Yeah, it's insane to me. That's slave wages, whatever. But hey, it just goes to show in this industry how bad it is and why. Like, people always say, they always take advantage of the artists. Yeah, but like, when you are in an industry where there's always a never-ending supply of people willing to work for those slave wages, most of them just so that they can say, I was published, right?
I've got my foot in the door. Yeah,
I fulfilled my dream, whatever. That's why they can still keep doing it. Oh my God! Like, I used to think it was crazy when people were telling me, oh yeah, some pencilers still only get like $50 a page. I'm like, $50 a page? That was early 80s, mid 80s. Wages for page rates, like, for a lot of people. And apparently today it still happens, $50 a page for pencilers. And it's like, well, yeah, they got these never-ending supply of guys coming out of Brazil, the more poor countries, right? That for them it's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so they figure, okay, we'll take advantage of these people. Why not? Right? They're willing to do it. Why not? Right? Yeah, it's sad. But let's get on to the next one. But let me just quickly see what these guys are saying. So, tracing AI and embellishing it, then selling as an original on eBay can pay well. Apparently, people do that. Black Viper of Dorn. I did the Marvel Masterpieces. Oh, so you did some of these for $2 a card? I just wanted to say a word for you. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. You see, it's crazy. Just so they can say they fulfilled that dream. That's wild, man. That's wild. How long, Antoine? How long did it take you to realize, though, that, man, like, while you were drawing one and you that moment of clarity must have hit you where you're like, you're working hard on your drawing, and then all of a sudden you're like, fuck this, man. $2, right? Like, how long did it take you to finally, like, how many had you done, I guess is what I'm saying? Or was it right from the beginning that you were frustrated about how poor, right? You're being treated in terms of the pay, but you still just were willing to put up with it so you could say you worked for Marvel? That's an interesting question.
I don't know. Maybe I should do some sketch cards. like to say that I worked for Marvel on my resume. It wouldn't have anything to do with my day job, but it would be fun. So,
Ruben paid for his booth, babe. Nothing. You get what you pay for. Yeah, but that was my girlfriend, and then her stupidity got my super minty Death of Green Goblin ASM 122 stolen. So she cost me a lot of money. So why should I pay her? That boat adventure seemed epic, Ian Saint. Oh, okay, yeah. On his Facebook. Indeed, once in a lifetime, sadly back to reality. Welcome back, by the way. Modern slavers exist. Exactly, Carl. For instance, I'm a slave to Manix's commission. Yes, but you at least don't get paid slave wages and allows you to buy those commissions, that you're a slave to. Never been paid for my art, so I wasn't feeling, up until that point, feeling like I deserved more. Wow. Still, I drew them while I was at work on my downtime. Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah, it takes all kinds. A lot of people are, like I said, when you're willing, there will be people there to take advantage, right? Carl, I thought you were a slave to AAA Valiant art now. Ruben is a slave to his framer. What's up, Jason? I get negative wages, I'm sure. Negative after you've spent it all on Manix's art. That's for sure. All right, let's keep it going, everybody. And for the next one, we go. Oh, yeah, this is a double page piece. I just wanted to get a little bit extra art, and it's from the same artist, so I figured why not, side by side. And yeah, I love this. So tell us a little bit about this one, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
And this is Paul Gulacy on the left with P. Craig Russell inking, and on the right-hand side, it's inked by Randy Emberlin. But both are penciled by Gulacy.
So how could you not try to get something by these guys, for all of their work in the 90s?
Yeah.
And then to also have them do Star Wars. I mean, that was kind of a great scenario. And especially a series which is about one of the Emperor's Royal Guards. So those guys in the red armor that you don't really see do anything in Return of the Jedi. Of course, those are the kind of characters that folks in the comics and the novels love to grab a hold of because they look cool.
Oh, okay.
And you could do whatever you want with them. And so it's sort of a story of one of those Crimson Guards. But then they bring in these sort of stealthy commando, black armored stormtroopers. So they're not just in shadow on that left page. They're actually wearing black armor instead of the standard white armor. So they could do, stealthy night ops and that kind of thing. And then the page on the right in the story, the one sort of the heavy ruler that the folks have been dealing with finds out that the gal he thinks is his daughter is really essentially a replicant, just so that we can have a Blade Runner connection for Ruben. And so then he threatens her. But, just the black and white art by these guys doing the heavy black frame on the right page.
Yeah,
with that in detail, and then sort of that open space, but with the darker colored stormtroopers on the left side, as they're trying to sneak up on our Crimson Commando guy. But as you can see, he's already snuck up back behind them in that last panel on the left page. So, yeah. All of us who were the toy collectors, and now the guys that do the costuming, you always love a good Stormtrooper page. And so this one was just a lucky grab.
Lucky grab?
Yep.
You mean one of them, not both of them?
Well, the Stormtrooper one.
The Stormtrooper one, yeah.
Yeah, the non-armored character talking head pages never command the attention, let's say, of the collectors as much as, a good Stormtrooper page or a good Boba Fett page or, any of the cool armor guys on a page. So yeah, grabbing that one on the left when it popped up was just a nice find.
Ecstatic.
Yeah.
And how were the prices at the time? Like what you
these
expect?
I picked up. Yeah, these I picked up probably early 2000s, so 2003,
nice.
2005. So I think I paid,
affordable.
$100 maybe.
Nice.
125 a page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Very sweet. Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Yeah, very nice. I'm glad I could decided to show both on the same slide. Let's get an extra page in there. Why not?
Yep.
When you're famous, they let you grab them by the Gulacy. They let you do it, apparently. Ruben hates all
I'm not
things.
that famous. That always gets me slapped.
All righty, let's keep her rolling. Oh yeah, okay. So here's the next one. You guys remember, those of you who tuned in right from the beginning, when Jeff said that when I reached out to him and I told him, I think I just want to, everybody knows you as the Star Wars guy, and so it just seems like, I don't know, like, why do something everybody's expecting? You have art by, non-Star Wars titles or from non-Star Wars titles. Why don't we throw them a curveball, do everything non-Star Wars, but we'll choose one Star Wars piece, your favorite one, right? And he said, okay, how about you pick one and I pick one? So, okay, we'll make it two.
I figured by this point of the evening, I'd be talking about my Scooby-Doo pages or something.
No, but this next piece is the page that originally, when we did decide on, hey, we'll only put two Star Wars pieces, one for him, one for me. This is the one that I had gone with. So we'll pick this one and check this one out.
And the timing on this was very good for this to be a choice, because I had gotten these and posted these up in 2007. No, when did I do my calf gallery? 2008, 2009, somewhere in that time frame. And so these were some of the first ones I was posting back then. As I mentioned, I became friends with Joe. He did 2 issues of Star Wars Empire for Dark Horse. One was a Han Solo focus story, and then this one was a Darth Vader focus story. I have managed to pick up about 2/3 of the Han Solo pages, and maybe half of the Darth Vader story.
Okay.
Because some other collector came in and cleaned out a bunch of those before I got a chance to. And this one, it's not inked. Those are Joe's pencils. He's a dark,
tight dark pencils. Yeah.
Yeah. Both of his issues were fill-in issues, and so they had a tight turnaround time. So they skipped the inking process and just converted the pencils digitally. Or just scanned the pencils and used them. Because when you look at the published pages up close, you can see the pencil strokes. Even after the coloring and the printing process, you can make them out. And, I've been a big fan of Joe's work, as I said, since the early 2000s. And the fact that I've got the relationship with him, it's been a great friendship over the years. And he just moved recently. He's lived in Ohio for a long time, but just moved to Oklahoma this year.
Wow. Oklahoma. Wow.
In the process, he found some more pages from both of these issues that we both thought had long sold in past years. And he's like, well, I'm going to let you have first crack at these. And so in San Diego, he held them till I could catch up with him at San Diego, and I went through them and pulled out the ones I wanted. But it was a good time because, as I said, these went up early in my gallery, and I was not doing the high-res scans because I didn't have the premium membership at CAF at that point.
Right.
And so I've gone back and rescanned all of the pages having gotten the new ones, and with Ruben asking if I could send him a higher res scan of this, because the one I had posted was pretty low res and wouldn't blow up without pixelating. And so, when I'm on a downtime between purchases, I had to replace a car recently. We're looking at fixing a shower at the house, so I'm going to be very tight with my budget over the coming months. That's the time to revisit the portfolios, and you can rescan art and revisit art and enjoy what you've already got. So it was perfect timing to go back to those two galleries, because I got enough pages from those two issues that I set up a folder for each of them to keep all those pages together. It was just a good time to go back and scan and update all those early posts. So
that's nice. That's good. Yeah, because I no offense to everybody, whatever. Well, I don't care if you get offended. I guess whatever. It's not something you should be offended by. A bad scan is a bad scan. So
yeah.
When you're trying to appreciate artwork, especially line art, right? Black and white line art, and every line is all pixelated. It's like pixelated. It's like I can't enjoy this. Like yes, you can tell the content is good or not. You can tell the level of content, obviously, but to admire the actual line, you can't. It's all crooked and little pixelated. So yeah, it's hard to enjoy. And yeah, so I'm glad that you did me that new one. And
yeah, now I'm looking back at the other galleries. I have older pieces posted in, and I'm like, oh geez, I really need to go back and update some of that other stuff while I'm at it. So
yeah. All right. Let's keep it moving. Okay. So from there we go to only 3 more, peeps. Only 3 more. Check this one out.
And they're all Scooby-Doo pages.
Not quite. But this one I had to put in there, Jeff, because when you posted this in your gallery, I was really taken by it. And your description telling me what this series was about, I was like, ooh, this is like right up my alley. I mean, this is non-superhero. It's these lovely looking ladies in the 1950s/60s. I love those, that time period, the fashions, the architecture, everything about it. And this was your post, right? You posting this piece up in your gallery was the first time I actually kind of like took a close look and purposely looked at a piece of Joelle Jones's artwork. I'd known her by name, right? And I knew that she was kind of popular in the hobby, but I just never had previously given a crap, whatever. Like I just didn't look. And this time I was like, yeah, it really caught my attention. And yeah, and then I ended up borrowing the 2 trades of this series from the local library, and I love it. I would love to get a page from this at some point.
Yeah, I have been looking for a page for a while. Again, these aren't always that expensive, but they disappear. Like, if someone posts them up within minutes, I'm sure anyone who's on the lookout and spots it starts throwing offers in at the seller. So I was happy to get this one. Joelle, I'd met years ago in San Diego when one of her first trades came out with Jamie Rich, 12 Reasons Why I Love Her. I picked up one of the pages from that for my wife as an anniversary gift. I can't remember. It was early in our marriage, and one of the first 3 or 4 years, I think, is paper is the theme for the anniversary gift.
Right.
So I bought her an original art page, because why wouldn't I? And it was a Joelle Jones page from that trade, which was about a couple's relationship. So she then put out You Have Killed Me, which is a noir story, also with Jamie Rich.
Yeah.
And so I then picked up I think I picked up 2 pages back. Originally, I've picked up another one since then. from that book. And again, liked her style. That one had good use of Zipatone throughout, and with collecting the older art, the older Star Wars art and stuff.
Yeah,
always a fan of Zipatone, especially if it's still in good shape. And of course, hers was, because it's relatively new by comparison.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so when Later Killers came out, I was excited about that one, and it was during the period where I wasn't buying the art, but for some reason, someone I knew had handed me the trade, but I just wasn't thinking, of the art collection at that point, and I didn't look for pages back when the book first came out. So now I'm trying to play catch up, and this was a good one to get because it's got the main character there in the top two panels, and it's near the end of the story in the last issue. So very happy with this one.
Sorry, can you remind me? Sorry, where did you pick this one up? How did you come to it?
If I remember right, this one appeared during Comic Art Live last fall. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so it was a CAF member put it up in their gallery for sale.
Okay.
Cool. And that's when I caught. And in fact, I think they put 3 or 4 pieces up for sale.
Oh, really?
And by the time I got my email off when I saw it, I think this was the only one that hadn't sold yet.
Okay.
And so,
can you do you mind telling me? I don't need to know the number. Can you just tell me? I'm assuming here, completely on the assumption, just be based on my knowledge of other modern day artists. Is this somewhere in the high 3 figures, or is this a page like this something like low 4 figures? Does it cross into the 4 figures?
This one did not.
No. Okay.
No. This one was.
Was it the upper half of the 3 figures?
No. I think it was 3.
Oh.
3 1/4 maybe.
Oh, that's nice. I guess because when I left you the comment and I reached out to you, we talked about it a bit. You got me searching around. I started looking around, and you mentioned that maybe Joelle has still a little bit. Who knows? And so I went to check out her. I don't know if it's her website or her. Does she have a dealer? I don't know. Some website that had her art on it. Anyways, I guess her rep.
She did have a rep. That company is not around anymore.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I went and I looked at that, and she did have, I think, 2 or 3 pages, but like the content was like there's nothing.
Well, and so the thing is that if you get the pages where she is committing a lot of the acts that is her secret profession, those pages will command a premium. Where with them standing in the doorway, just having a conversation, that was a lower tier price point. Okay. If you get her in the kitchen standing over a body with a big knife,
Yeah, I said though, to me, I figured this might be, I might be in the at least in the upper 3 figures, because when I went to that site, the 2 or 3 pages they had were of lesser content quality than yours, like easily lesser. And she was asking, I think it was $450 or $400 or something like that.
Yeah, when she had her stuff at Cadence, there was a period where they went through and upmarked a bunch of her stuff. When they went through and reloaded, I think it was some of her Catwoman pages. And so at that point, they did a price bump. And
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Last couple of pieces, everyone. Just so you know, everybody, this next piece is the second to last piece. You guys know that typically, typically I save, not always, but usually, I save the ones that I think might be, the banger, the more not expensive, the more exciting one, to people for the last piece. So this piece is, again, the Star Wars piece that Jeff had selected when we had decided we're only going to pick 2 total Star Wars pieces out of 20. I picked one, he picked one. So this next one is the one that he picked. And if you're wondering why didn't I save it as, since it's his favorite pick, why didn't I keep it for the last piece? You'll see when I show you the last piece. Why? I'll let you know then at that point. All right. So let me cue that up.
And Rick has already guessed it.
Oh, what? Well, I did say Star Wars, Marcus. So I've already given it away. The money shot, Scooby Doo, Ruby Doo, Harvey Wallbanger. Exactly. That's what's coming up. Okay. So here it is. Rick's gonna be happy. Let's check it out. There we go. All right. Star Wars High Republic Adventures, Phase 1, Number 2, page 8 and 9 by Harvey Tolibao.
If you are reading and enjoying a current artist's run on a book and they offer up pages, you might as well go big with the DPS for the first example of their work that you pick up. And that way, if you don't get any more, you're completely satisfied. And so that is the approach I took on this. Kavi, I know, was in there grabbing pages and maybe even a cover during the same drop. That was one that Jiggy did during a live stream. Harvey's work is so incredibly detailed. His pencils are amazing. Even his commission stuff, I picked one up from him in San Diego this year and was just totally blown away. Has all of the High Republic Adventures characters that he's been working on over first at IDW, and then when the license moved to back over to Dark Horse for the young adult series. I was incredibly happy to pick this one up and pick this one specifically not only just to highlight Harvey's work, but also to give a shout out during the show. Big Phil, who some of you may have seen some of his stuff on some of the channels or his own YouTube channel recently, has put together a gallery exhibit in Pittsburgh. This piece I donated to be hung up during the show. He is rotating some pieces, so I don't know if this is hanging up at the moment. But the focus is, the title of the exhibit is Collections in Black. And so the focus is on Black artists, Black collectors, Black characters in the books. And so there's an assortment of Star Wars art that I talked to him about, both by Black artists and featuring Black characters. There's also a Lando Calrissian page and stuff that I sent in. And so if any of y'all are in Pittsburgh between now and January, I would say go find it. And I think, did I send you the link, Ruben, to put down in the show description? For the exhibit?
Oh.
I might not have.
One of these guys can look and tell us. If you gave it to me, I would have put it.
Yeah, well, since Kavi's still here, if he can find the link for the Collections in Black exhibit in Pittsburgh and drop it in the chat, that'd be great. If not, and you're looking for it, just reach out to me and I can send you the link and you can check it out. So, so it was fun to be able to participate in putting some pieces from my collection out there in a public gallery so they could be seen in person by all the folks that get to go through the exhibit, and just show off Harvey's work because he's fantastic. So
cool.
And there's the link. Thanks, Kavi.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Kavi. Awesome. And there you go. Okay, excellent. All right, guys. We have come to the last piece, the final piece in our show and tell number 58 this evening. And so for this piece, as you guys know, as I said, typically it's the big bangers, and given that Jeff was the one who picked that piece himself, and it was the only one he picked out of the pieces we're showing tonight. Typically, I would have saved it for last on behalf of him, but as I was doing my selections, I saw something else that came up, and you guys know that on occasion, I have also reserved the last piece of the show and tell for something that may not necessarily be, the coolest page, around, the one that's going to impress everybody, and instead save the spot for something that has maybe some kind of a sentimental meaning, attachment or whatever, something like that. And so in this case, I decided to go in that direction. And yes, exactly. Sentimental value. And could it be Star Wars? It could be. Han Solo? Could be. And Ruben loves Han Solo. I do. Yeah. And so I think once, I'm not sure if Jeff even knows what I'm talking about right now, or if he's confused.
No idea.
But he will see.
Because I haven't posted any of my Blade Runner art up yet. So.
So there you go. We will find out all together at the same time here. And I think I hope he understands what I'm talking about when I show this. All right. So yeah. So here it is, everybody. And then he can tell us why it has some sort of a sentimental value. Here we go. Check it out.
Yeah, so that is a sentimental reason. So I have picked up the Marvel app since I'm not regularly buying and collecting the floppies in physical form anymore. I read all my new Star Wars comics 3 months late because there is a 3-month delay from when they hit shelves to when they put them up on the app. But having the app also, since I'm paying for it, I might as well just read a whole chunk of everything. And so I started reading the Strange series, and it was after Doctor Strange had died again, and Clea had filled into his role. But then we find out that Strange is really still around, but he's working for Death, I believe, because it's been about 2 years since I read this series. So I enjoyed the series because Doctor Strange was one of the titles my dad read back in the 60s when he was younger. And I thought the movies were enjoyable, but I was enjoying Clea trying to do this role with her background, and then kind of leaning more into Steven's role. And so I'd read it and had seen the art pop up through the dealer, Roberto's dealer, and picked this page up right after we had to make the hard decision for one of our dogs, me and my wife, Stacy. And so this was a tribute piece for our little Chihuahua Foxy, with Strange's dog there, and that panel of the two of them reuniting after we find out that Strange has really been this mysterious masked figure for the first couple of issues. So
can I ask you what exactly happened to Miss Foxy?
Well, so she was a rescue, so we're not sure exactly how old she was.
Oh, okay.
But was probably 12, 14 at a minimum. And she'd developed a heart valve problem. And so we treated it for a year with the knowledge that eventually the medications would start probably damaging other organs. And we reached that point where the kidneys started to fail, and a very rough treatment that they could try with not great odds for it to succeed, and we just had to make that tough decision that all pet owners, or most pet owners eventually face. And so, this was a page that was from a story I'd read relatively recently because it came out the year before. And then, I thought this would be a page that when I go flipping through my portfolios, would be a little reminder of her. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And by the way,
so a nostalgia about something completely unrelated to comics,
right,
is tied into the imagery on this comics page. So
right,
so nostalgia can work at us from an assortment of angles.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And do you know if did they ever inside the comic? Do they ever like say what breed the dog is? Like, do you know that it's the same breed as yours?
No, it's not. Definitely not a Chihuahua. Is he a Basset Hound? So he's a dog, but he's not the same breed at all.
The one in the comic is a Chihuahua?
No, we had a Chihuahua.
No, you have. That's what I'm saying. Right.
Yeah. So the one there, I think, is a Basset Hound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in dogs, so I don't know the dog breeds or whatever. But yours was cute. Oh my god, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was our first. So.
Oh, that was your first dog?
Well, I had one as a kid, but the wife and I, that was our first.
Yeah, you guys together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, I don't know. I hope that wasn't like I hope that wasn't like a bad thing to do, to use that one and use that as the downer.
I think if you'd pulled that up about a week after I bought it, I wouldn't be. Yeah, I'd have already turned off my screen at this point. But a year later, it's hard, but you go through it and then you remember the good times. And so that joyful reunion that we see in that panel, those are the kind of memories that I like to look back on. And so, it's a good page. Yeah.
Mike has a tortoise so that his grandkids can worry about what to do when it gets old.
That's right.
That's a smart thing.
Because it will probably outlast you. So
smart move, everyone.
Yeah.
All right, man. Jeff, is there anything that other than obviously the link we were talking to the exhibit, anything else you got going on that you might want to talk about or just tell people about? Or
it's October. So as I was telling Ruben backstage right before we got on, woke up bright and early this morning, which is something I normally don't do because I'm a night owl. But two of the ladies at my office have been battling breast cancer this year. My Aunt Lisa passed away from breast cancer. It runs through Stacy's family. And that was what the walk was for this morning, because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is why I'm wearing the pink ribbon from the walk this morning. So just ladies in the chat, guys with ladies in the chat. It also can affect guys, just not quite the same percentages. Yeah. If you notice anything out of the ordinary, get it checked out. So
don't if it freaks you out, whatever you do, don't let it scare you so much that you say, no, it's nothing. I'll some other time, the next time. I was just at the doctor. I'll go next year at my next appointment. Don't do that, man. It's better to deal with it like
catch it early. It makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference, absolutely. Yeah. Hydra says, I'm with you, Jeff. My mom, aunt, and mother-in-law as well.
There is definitely a genetic component with some of the different varieties. So, my aunt had a very rare form, inflammatory breast cancer. So it doesn't manifest as a lump. It shows up as a rash, a skin rash. And by the time it shows up, it's already generally stage 3, stage 4.
That's right. So, metastasized.
When she went in and got it looked at, it was maybe 2-3 months before we lost her. So again, early detection is the key. So if you see stuff that's out of the ordinary, better just go get it looked at.
just to join in with you and Hyder, my wife, Vivian, she currently has an aunt in Taiwan who has just been given about another month, maybe at most, or whatever, for the same thing, you know. So, yeah, super common. It's crazy, right? So,
Yep.
do what you got to do. Get tested every year if you can, as often as the doctors let you do it, as often as you can do it, you know.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to those of you who hung in for the entire duration, especially. Really appreciate you guys, as always. You know, it means a lot to me. To those of you who came in late also and stuck around for as long as you could stick around. Those of you who came in and left after a few minutes, whatever. I appreciate all of you. Those of you watching on Rewind, thank you so much. Appreciate that. And let me just thank you, Hyder. Appreciate it. And thank you, Kavi, for hanging in with that after that long-ass day in New York City.
That's right.
Comic-Con and hanging out with us for the duration. That's awesome, man. I look forward to doing the show and tell with you as well. That's going to be cool. December sometime, I guess. And I will leave you guys. We'll close it out, leaving you guys with the thumbnail for next week. Next week is the second and final show and sell with Hart as he continues to try to move artwork and try to find some new homes for his collection. Now that he has whittled down his choices of keeping only 25 published pieces and 25 commissions.
That would take a lot of whittling. I applaud him for that kind of dedication yeah.
For sure, absolutely. No, we cannot stretch it for 9 more minutes. Was also watching the Steelers win, so it was a fun evening. Excellent, thank you. Appreciate it, Carl. Wrong about Ron. Oh, thanks. Tom's letting us know, everybody. He was wrong about the Ron Friends inking. I thought so. The excuse of failing memory of aging collector. I rushed my research. No worries, no worries. Thank you again, Tom.
Absolutely, that was fun.
That was fun. It was great to do something fun and different, you know. So, really appreciate it. Thank you again. Thank you, Tom Kazalowski, Chicago in the house. What's up? And if there was any other guys on tonight, I would have passed out from exhaustion, but I got a second wave of energy. Appreciate you. You know that.
I need to reach out to Kavi because I'm going to be in Jersey in a couple of weeks. So
look,
I have to see if we can connect.
Oh, can't wait to catch the first 2/3 tomorrow. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. And how was that, Eric, for a quick reply to your email? Wow, I replied like literally within an hour, I think, or something like that. Thoughts on Skeleton Crew? Get Lost.
I am hoping it is Space Goonies, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, there you go. You actually got an answer.
Yep.
Cheers to you, Mark. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. How would Ruben have been able to answer himself? What? Good night, guys. Way past my bedtime. Thanks, Carl. I appreciate it. I hope you had a great time. Have a safe flight back to the West Coast after a long New York City. Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, let me just leave you with, as I said, the thumbnail for next week. And where is that here? All right, so there you go. Comic Art Show and Sell number 15. When I say the final show with Hart, it's the final for his published art. But we will likely still do one last sale in the future at some point for his commission type art. But yeah, that'll be next week at the usual time. And did I not? Man. Oh, look at that. We're gaining viewers. We actually just gained like 5 viewers somehow. That's crazy. Did I give Nikki B the promo when I did Carl's promo?
I don't remember that.
Damn. And the thing is I had it. Oh man, hold on. Sorry, everyone. Oh, this is it. I still have it in my mouse's memory. All right. That's the link to Nikki B's direct link to his show this coming Friday, of which I will not see you guys. I will be at a showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show that the late teens daughter of, that I've known since she was born, of a good friends of mine, is acting in. So I'll be doing that on Friday night.
Are you wearing fishnets?
I will not.
Or throwing hot dogs?
Yeah, no, it's not my thing. But yeah, so I won't see you at Nikki B's, but please be back here Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And Marcus, you little bastard, how many Are they all new art? Any repeats from before? No, there's not going to be any repeats from before. Oh, and then this week, if you're on my mailing list, not that you guys, who always watch my show, it doesn't matter to you, but if anybody's watching who hasn't watched the previous sales shows with with Heart, the unsold stuff will be making my website. It'll be hitting my website sometime this week, and I will send an email out to you. Who does some chores and watch the rewind as I go into late hours of the night. Awesome. Thanks, Ian. Great to see you. And peace. Ruben should dress up. No, not going to happen. Ruben, the Time War. We're only dressed up for the room. No. So let me put that back up so we can say goodbye. And here we go. So thank you, everybody. Thanks again, Jeff, to you. Awesome.
No, you bet. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Cheers, everybody. Talk to you soon. Oh, and go Blue. Fuck Ohio State.